and Mac Rhodes has completely repopulated the athletics program in many ways, and so I just really think it will be a story.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
With 1 second to go, field goal would win it.
Up in the air.
Going deep.
They're hoping.
Tip, caught. You're kidding. The Vikings, they win it. Time is run out. Minnesota, they are the champions.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
More play action. Wide open in the end zone. Touchdown, Thornton. They lost him again and a 29-yard TD strike.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Sanders in trouble. Ball's loose. It's picked up by the Bears. It's Terrell Bernard. It's touchdown.
Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Well, good afternoon. We start this 3 o'clock hour on this Wednesday, and the 108th edition, the 108th episode of Sikkim 365 Radio, and things to get to, including breaking news on what we do and where we'll do it. We'll have that in a second. Also, as we were heading into the start of the show, I got a call from Ashley over at Don Humidor, and they're in as our newest and latest sponsor of the growing list, over 30 businesses with Sikkim 365 Radio and Sikkim365.com. So earlier this afternoon, and we have many guests to get to, including former San Antonio Lee, Rice University, and Minnesota Vikings great Tommy Kramer, the great and legendary, he's part of Baylor royalty, Lawrence Elkins today. Jerry Rome. How about that? He's a longtime NFL player, played with the Cowboys as well, but a longtime assistant coach. Played at Tulsa from Dallas Sunset High School. He'll join us. High school coaches, Conley LaVega play Friday. We'll hear from Don Hyde and Shane Anderson. Plus, also today, many things from Charlie Brewer, Terrell Bernard, and we'll hear from Olin Buchanan on the Texas A&M Aggies and John Machota on the Cowboys. We'll have a new broadcast center that should open up anytime now. There was a press release sent out called Barber, Brian Etheridge, Ashley Hodge. They put it out about an hour ago. And the response that we've received from our sponsors and from many of you, some of you I've never even talked to before, saying congratulations, our broadcast center on the corner of MLK and Elm Street. We have seen this thing slowly but surely, Paul Craig, kind of slowly but surely kind of rise from the ashes, and cannot wait for us to broadcast from there.
Oh, I can't wait either. I'm so excited, and I'm going to miss having you guys here every day. I know Woodrow's going to miss it, but them's the breaks when you get bigger and better. We don't have the technology here that we're going to have in that place. You're going to go full video every day across a bunch of platforms, so you'll be able to receive us in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, you've been able to have, all these options in front of you with the audio links, but now this is video, and it's going to be, brand new addition to what we've already been doing. And we said when we first started this thing that it was going to just keep growing, and there was going to be all sorts of things in the future that were possible, and having a daily radio show was obviously one of the first steps, but now putting that daily radio show on video and having that capability is another step, and there's more. And the fact of, the biggest part is where we're going to be doing it. Our own home studios is going to be pretty cool, and you've seen, probably if you've been on Twitter today, or you probably have seen the pictures that Colt put out of the mock-ups of what the studio is going to look like and what you're going to see if you watch each day. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool, and it'll be a great spot. Not that far away from campus, where if a coach wants to swing through and join us for a few minutes, then that'll be easy to do as well.
Yeah, it's at 0.8 miles, I think, from McLean Stadium, right there, not far from the bridge that goes over the Brazos. And also, by the way, right there across the street from MLK Plaza, and not far, catty corner from Doris Miller, and that memorial on Doris Miller. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoke. You've heard the lineup. Charlie Brewer, Terrell Bernard, Tommy Kramer, Shane Anderson, Don Hyde, Lawrence Elkins, Jerry Rome, Olin Buchanan, and John Machota. And then the news about our broadcast studio. We've blown it out all over Twitter, all over social media, the members of the site, Sikkim365.com, and much more as well.
I think we need to give a shout-out to D1 Design. They just tweeting about it as well, helping
absolutely.
to get it together. And so I just want to make sure we, shout out everybody who makes it possible, because Colt, Brian, Ashley, obviously getting it off the ground, and we've been doing our thing. Grace and everybody a part of the team. And then, like, with S11 and everybody coming up with football season, there's going to be more and more. But now these studios, thanks to D1 for the great design.
And that's also the home with Grayson. As you mentioned, Sam Bradshaw, who will join us on Thursday starting this week, along with you guys writing new columns starting this week, opinion pieces. It's great. We got a lot to get to. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul's is more of opinion. Mine's going to kind of be beat writing / if I want to go opinion, I can go that way. I'm probably going to stick mostly to beat writing. And but Paul's piece got a lot of traction. Mine got some traction. And, we're going to be doing that on a more regular basis now. So that's just another addition to some more writing as well.
Paul had somebody respond, and we have to get to the comments, but I have to bring this up on your opinion about the NCAA being a house of cards. It's an opinion piece, and yet somebody was very upset that you had an opinion.
Yeah, they thought they can't keep your Joe Biden stuff to yourself, which the actual opinion wasn't. I wasn't advocating for anything. I said that in the piece, I believe that marijuana in the next decade is probably going to be legal in all 50 states. I mean, look, it's legal in all the ones around us, so I'm just, taking down the clock.
You should not be opinionated during an opinion piece. It's a column, and you could either like it, read it, you can like part of it. It's like I tell a lot of people when it comes to watching different coverages of whatever news stories. I want to look at different angles so I can make up my mind, not have somebody tell me how I should make up my mind, and everybody looks at that differently. Some just look at, no, this is all I want to watch, or this is all I want to hear, and that's fine as well. By the way, Charlie Brewer today and Terrell Bernard were available to the media on the Zoom call. 3 of us were a part of it as well. Charlie Brewer, let's start with this one. I've said this now for a couple of months. I saw him. He was playing around a golf, and I just happened to walk up to him. He had picked his ball up in the hole because I think he was out of the hole. His ball may have been out of bounds, whatever. It was like on 17 at Ridgewood, and I just happened to bump into him. And so we talked for just a little bit because it was during that time you're not supposed to get too close. And we talked, but he had a grin on his face. You've heard me discuss this, that he just felt good about what's about to happen, and I asked him about that again today. I had happened to bump into you just for a quick second, maybe even a couple of months ago, and you had a grin on your face when you started to kind of discuss the offense, and really you hadn't even had a chance to do much yet. Why did you have a grin on your face, and is everything you've seen now that you've started workouts kind of lead to that being you just knew?
Yeah, I knew that, we have a lot of guys coming back. I know that, we've really improved up front, and I think that I've improved in some areas that I needed to improve in, as well as I know that we got a great offensive coaching staff. But we still got a lot of work to put in. Not close to where we want to be yet, but that's okay. We just as long as we get better each day, and I think we've done that for the most part. But I think I'm just excited. I think the grin may have been because I'm excited. I'm ready to go put it on display.
Do you can you kind of put into the relevance when you were able to go work out at APEC with the Bobby Stroop and all that, how much that maybe helped with your arm strength or at least your precision firing where you want to go with the ball?
Yeah, I think he, is real technical with, kind of how the body moves and kind of your dissociation and kind of the path that the ball should go, kind of when you're releasing it and loading up and stuff like that. So it was cool to just learn, and hear some of those things that he provided me with. I think that it's helped.
Can you tell if your arm strength is better? I know you've kind of had to take a beating the first 3 years.
Yeah, I do feel like my arm's stronger. I feel like, my shoulder is healthy. I feel stronger. It just feels healthy. So I'm ready to go.
So that's Charlie Brewer from earlier today. He also and Terrell Bernard discussed and were asked questions about the single digits. And, Paul, you let me know when you got it. Here's Charlie Brewer on getting – Craig, what?
No, I was just going to say that I found it interesting that he mentioned his shoulder in particular.
There you go. That's the one I've talked about.
Yeah, and, all the talks about concussions, and he even said after the bowl game, like, that injury was more of a neck thing, but there was clear prior to that something was bothering him, and we all just assumed, like, head injury. But he said right there, and he kind of almost even paused after he said it, because that was not something widely talked about. But that was something I took notice of. Yeah,
there's no question. And he's fed up with hearing about all the other stuff. I can tell you that right now. But that's a good point as well, because he talked about the shoulder, which, remember, he was going to get cleaned up until some guy from North Carolina State arrived on campus in Jalen McClendon. So Charlie Brewer, he could have probably been a single digit last year, but I just thought he didn't want to leave the number 12. He talks about that.
Yeah, I think kind of a tradition you're going to see here now is that probably sticking around, and I think it means a lot. It means the people see your work ethic, see just kind of what kind of a teammate you are, and things along those lines. So I think that single digit.
So that's him. He gets the number 5. Now. What happened? Skip out? You ready?
No, you were good.
Now, about the honor, because he was there when they started singling those out, especially, John Levitt's in his 4th year. We'll hear from Terrell Bernard on the tradition. Here's Charlie Brewer on the honor of getting one.
I would say the honor of wearing a single digit is, first that you're a team player. I think that kind of symbolizes that, you put the team first. You're a hard worker. And really that you care about the guys around you. I think a lot of those guys that are wearing single digits, although they may be the ones wearing the single digit, but those guys really care for their teammates, and are always there to pick you back up and lead you in a positive way.
John Levitt's in your class. He's been voted a single digit all 4 years since he was a freshman. What about him and the way he comes to practice, the way he plays, the way he leads the team made him worthy of that honor all 4 years, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that, he's, a great leader. I think that he has a tremendous work ethic, probably one of the hardest workers on the team. And, he just really cares for the guys around him. I know that, he has my back as well as the other guys on the offense, as well as the defense, scholarship or walk on. He's the same to everyone. And I think that's pretty special.
So there's Charlie Brewer on the single digits and on John Levitt getting it all 4 years. Quite a feat for the running back from the Northeast. But Terrell Bernard also speaking with the media today, kind of the face of the offense and the face of the defense. Terrell Bernard, just like Charlie, not only a leader, not only somebody who's been in the grind, but also somebody who got a single digit, and he talked about that.
I think it was such a big thing that Coach Rule had brought here, and I think the guys really believed in it, because it wasn't just about one day or 1 week or 1 month. It was like a combination of what you've done the whole past year, kind of how you've helped the team, how much of a leader you are. All of that kind of combined into that vote, into that recognition. I think it plays a huge part on the team.
Want to also say this, and that's Terrell Bernard, as Craig mentioned. They both brought up Gavin Holmes. They brought up others as well. Obviously, John Levitt. But the Gavin Holmes story, which is the great comeback after back-to-back years of knee issues, both of them specifically talked about his story.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's been through it. And I would have been shocked if he wasn't one of the guys that came back and got one, because when players watch somebody go Gavin Holmes would be totally justified saying, look, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this is hard. I'd rather just focus on the future. But to continue to chase his dream, to continue to try to help that team, to continue to fight through. Rehab is a pain. It's awful. I mean, it's no fun. And to do that twice, and rehab is different when you're going to go back and play football and than it is when you're just going to go back and be another person, because you're not only rehabbing, you're rehabbing and trying to get back to, running, a 4.4 again or whatever that is. So it's pretty impressive what he's done, and he certainly deserves it.
Yeah, he does. I really had my eyebrows raised a lot when I think my new favorite player, and I say favorite player, but just somebody that I'm going to have a lot of fun tracking is John Lovett, because I think he's really under the radar, if that's even possible, as a guy who's all 4 years. But for Gavin Holmes, what a story it's been. And I saw his father yesterday on Twitter, super fired up, obviously, over the news. A lot of people were fired up for Gavin, and his teammates, as you're referencing there, are definitely fired up and proud of him as well. And they get to see that daily grind. They got to see him when, we got glimpses of it at little media sessions when we were still allowed to be around other people many months ago. We'd see Gavin Holmes coming off the field with everybody else, and he had the biggest leg brace on, the biggest knee braces. And, he kind of had a limp to him, and you kind of gradually maybe catch a little bit, walking a little steadier and all of that. But they get to see that day to day. They get to see that rehab and that toughness that he had to display. So that's, a lot of what goes into a single digit is working hard and leading and fighting, and he's done all those things.
Baylor's Charlie Brewer on this. It's awesome for those who've played sports. It takes a lot of mental toughness to get through that ACL day by day for the past 2 years. Shows up with positive mindset. Fantastic fall camp. I expect him to make a lot of plays. Terrell Bernard, I'm excited for him. I'm glad everybody's recognized his hard work and dedication to come back, which isn't easy to do after much less one ACL, in this case, two. Iowa State has reversed, at least for the opening game of their season, as far as fans. They will not have fans for the opening game, the season opener. They'll play it without fans. Chargers take Tyrod Taylor. He's their starting quarterback, replacing Phillip Rivers. He becomes the starting quarterback. Also, Kirk Cousins on the mask and accept. He said, listen, it's taking the survival of the fittest, a personal approach to the coronavirus. If it kills me, it kills me. If I die, I die. We'll have Tommy Kramer, former Vikings quarterback, on, and he'll ask him about the play of Kirk Cousins.
I think that Kirk Cousins was taking it like this. He's been thrown in this extreme of like he doesn't care about coronavirus or like he thinks it's a myth. He was in that same interview. He said, look, I'm very respectful of people. I wear a mask. Like, I'm not one of those guys, but he said he's not gonna change his life and he's not gonna worry about it, was the point of it. And I think he was just trying to be funny. And we're in an era, it's really hard to be humorous.
You're not allowed to be funny or say anything under the guise of a joke anymore.
Yeah,
it's all going to be dead serious. Worst time in history to be a comedian, and also the best time.
I can tell you I've interviewed Kirk Cousins one time at the Puppy Bowl in Houston, and he's a funny guy. Like, he likes to crack jokes. Like, he's not uptight. He drives a minivan, for God's sakes, like an old minivan that was his parents'. Like, he's a bit goofy. So he was not trying to like tell people that they're crazy for wearing masks. He was just saying he's not going to change anything.
The only people that got any type of upset, which is insane, the only people that had any problem with what Kirk Cousins said are the people who have been clutching their pearls for the last 7 months and will refuse to unclutch their pearls until we're given this extreme vaccine or something. I mean, we got to live life. Don't be reckless. That's not what he was advocating for. But you pearl clutchers gotta give it a rest, man.
Please take a deep breath. Also, speaking of that, the UIL and the district executive committees are all sending out very much warnings to the local school districts all over the state of Texas. Schools not following the guidelines of the COVID are subject to sanctions, including suspension of contest or discontinuation of public access to games by their local district committees, and also by the UL State Executive Committee. And I thought when we did the game between Conley and obviously with Sunnyvale, I thought for the most part, the families were clumped together. But, you were on the field. It seemed like everybody, for the most part, was trying to pay attention and be obedient, although that's going to be hard to do when you have maybe 1,800 to 2,000 people in the stands, especially this Friday when LaVega kindly get together, because there's going to be people circling around that fence who can't get into the game.
The one thing I saw at the Connolly game that is just a frustration I see everywhere, and I don't understand it, so that's something I got to live with, but if you're going to wear a mask, actually wear it. There's a lot of, hanging off the ear, under the chin. It's like, why are you even wearing it? Like, why do you even, and you're not wearing it. It's and so that was some of what I saw. And that there needs to be somebody to go hey, but I thought for the most part, they did what they could do and they did a good job. But I think definitely everybody can kind of rewind or review after week 1 and do a better job in week 2.
All right. When we come back, we have Tommy Kramer, former All-American high school player at San Antonio Lee. They've changed their name too. Rice University All-American, and then, of course, he was an all-pro quarterback, I think, in the mid-'80s with the Vikings, played there for 12 years. Tommy Kramer, next on Sic 'Em 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Well, guess what? A couple months ago, got the email from Lance over at Richard Carr, and he sent the latest notes and said, hey, it's employee pricing for everyone all month long. And then last month hit, and instead of getting a fresh set of notes, it was, hey, just continue on with these. We're going to continue on with employee pricing. And then today, get an email from Lance. Continue on. Employee pricing. So the deals continue on at Richard Carr, the summer savings event. Take advantage now. You pay what employees pay all throughout the month of September. Right now, qualified buyers can save $7,000 on 2020 Acadia, $7,000 on 2020 Yukon, $7,000 on 2020 GMC Terrains. If you're looking for a truck, right now, qualified buyers can save $8,000 on a 2020 GMC SLT Crew Cab. They've also got the line of Buicks with the Enclave, the Envision. The Enclave, one of the best-selling SUVs so far in 2020. It's got first-class seating for 7, all the safety and tech features you're looking for. It's an uncompromising full-size SUV. Right now, you can save $7,200 on a 2020 Buick Enclave, plus thousands on the Envisions and Encores during the extended summer savings event. So when you buy a vehicle from Richard Carr, you not only get the car itself, but you get a great price along with that, plus free oil changes with a new purchase and in-town priority warranty service. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni. They just want the chance to earn your business, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them online at richardcarr.com. That's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford, our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week. Locally owned dealership, online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. The annual tent sales going on right now.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Mazzana Construction is celebrating 52 years as an award-winning, family-owned and operated business excelling in general construction and construction management. Mazzana Construction is proud to support Connolly ISD's tradition of excellence in education and athletics, including owners calling Connolly High their alma mater, Vicky Mazzana, class of 1974, and Aaron Miner from the class of 2002. Mazzana Construction, celebrating 50-plus years by building trust with quality work. MazzanaConstruction.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
With 1 second to go. Field goal would win it.
Up in the air.
Going deep.
They're hoping.
Tip. Caught. You're kidding. The Vikings. They win it. Time is run out. Minnesota. They are the champions.
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. This 3 o'clock hour, 3:26. We'll hear from head coaches Shane Anderson at Connolly and also Don Hyde at La Vega in the next segment. Tommy Kramer, he doesn't know this. I think maybe I left him nine different voicemails when I was asking him to come on the show. But my brother played at San Antonio Roosevelt. Mike and Robert did. Robert was a wide receiver for Roosevelt. And they played against Lee back, and they happened to play during Lee during their greatest run when Tommy Kramer, Richard Osborne, and Pat Rocket were there. And Tommy Kramer joins us now on Sikkim 365 Radio. How much and how often do you still reflect on that run you had at San Antonio Lee?
Well, we enjoyed it. I'll tell you that. And every alumni deal we go to, that that's always brought up. And just unfortunate we didn't get that second one right after it.
You threw the ball a ton. You were almost ahead of your time. We're about to have Lawrence Elkins on in an hour, played with Baylor and on the NFL. He caught tons of passes. Everyone thinks now that just in the last 15 or 20 years, people started swinging the ball around the field. Weren't you ahead of your time in a way back in the early 70s?
Yeah, our coaches like to throw the ball because we had those types of receivers. I mean, Osborne was 6'4", and Hack was 6'2", and Rocket could run a 4.35. So we figured that's a lot easier to throw it than to run the ball all day.
When you got to the NFL, you were great at the the 2-minute drill, and you took over for Fran Tarkenton, a guy who also was exciting. Was part of that because you kind of grew up throwing the ball, so that when you got to the NFL, it was an easy transition for you to become a guy who's good in the 2-minute drill?
Well, I mean, for me, when I was coming out of school, we were the only team that wasn't running that wishbone. And so when I came out of high school, I chose Rice because they were the only team. They brought in their coaches from Florida State, and they were going to be putting the ball in the air all the time. And so, my whole life, all I had dreamed about was, becoming a personal quarterback, in the NFL. That's what I wanted to do. And so I went to Rice, even though we couldn't get the type of athletes that we need, but we hung around with a lot of good teams, put the ball in the air all the time.
How difficult was it to follow Fran Tarkenton?
Well, I was happy just to get in front of him after, he's a real nice guy. Media blew a bunch of this stuff off that Tarkenton wasn't going to help, and that was completely false. So there's always something to talk about.
Our profession, and we're a part of that, especially now, the media profession now might be at its worst. But it's almost always like picking at a scab on things like that. They look for something, and sometimes even if it's not there. You had, I believe I saw this, Tommy, 19 comebacks when you were the quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. Was it just something because of the way you played, the way you guys played, or was it just an ability you had to have that ability to bring a team back?
Well, it started back in when I was in a junior in high school. And, we had 18 juniors starting on that football team, and we had 3 seniors. And so it seemed like every game, we won a lot of games, because we had more talent. But whenever we came into a game, we'd always end up winning it in the last 2 minutes, when we won that state championship. And so that's when they just started, got the nickname 2-Minute Tommy all the time.
What was the play and the moment and the call when you hit Ahmad Rashad for the touchdown on what they called the miracle at the Met?
Yeah, that was just, for us, it was that drive started, there were 14 seconds left on the clock, and we were on our own 20-yard line, and there were a total of 14 seconds, and we called the squadron right, squadron hook and lateral, which is 3 wide receivers on the strong side, and then a tight end running 12-yard hook, and then the running back coming out running the wheel route, and having Joe Sensor just bat the ball back to him, and Teddy Brown's smart enough to look up on the screen and watch it, knowing he wasn't going to make it, so he steps out of bounds at the 46-yard line. And so then we got in the huddle and same play, squadron right, squadron fly, and and he dropped back and he tried not to throw the ball out of the, you want him just close enough to the goal line to make a play. And so, I told the guy on the point, I said, do not try to catch the ball. Bat it right or bat it to the left. I'll have a receiver on each side. And so, sure enough, they throw it down there to the goal line, and Rashad catches it back into the end zone after it was tipped.
Do you think a play like that's going to work when you do it, or are you just – what's going through your head?
Well, we practice that play every Friday, just every week, every Friday. And so, that's what you hope you get is a ball that's going to be tipped, and catch it in the end zone. You want that play to happen that way, which it just did.
Tommy, you were very much involved in helping with young children who had cancer and other problems as part of the giving back. And of course, we as young kids, we look up to certain sports heroes a lot and look at them and admire them. Can you share the story? This was early on in your career. Can you share the story about Michael Merrill?
Michael Merrill.
1982, a 2-year-old boy. He was battling a severe illness with his immune system. And apparently he was a huge Tommy Kramer fan, and you were able to kind of give him a little thrill early on in his life before he passed away.
Yeah, I went and visited him at one of the hospitals there, and, brought him a hat and jersey and give him, and let them know that, we're thinking about you and hoping the best for you. So it's, and that's basically what we've been doing here this last year, going to different assisted living homes and doing stuff there. And, and some of our own players, like, we went and visited Matt Blair, and he's in, an assisted living home. And, it's just so sad to see. He's such a physical specimen. You think nothing could ever happen to that guy.
Yeah.
6'5", and it's a sad thing to see.
You are a part of the College Football Hall of Fame for your time at Rice. You have been honored by many things in your career. Was there one in particular that meant more to you than anything else?
Oh, I don't. You're thankful for what all the things are good that did happen to you, and but as far as all of them, you feel like you've accomplished something, and and you're proud of it because this is what you want to do ever since you were a little kid.
Tell me, if you don't mind, and I saw this on Tommy Kramer, former San Antonio League quarterback, Rice University Vikings, and spent a couple years with the Saints as well, about your what's the word? You're honoring the Green Bay Packers in only a way a Vikings player or fan could do.
Yeah, we had this guy, a couple guys from New York. We asked them to build us a vanity for the man cave downstairs, and so they said, "Oh yeah, well, we can do it." And so then next day we told my friend that I hang around up here with in Minnesota, and I said, we need to put a urinal in that bathroom, in the shower down there. And so he asked those guys from New York, can y'all make a Packer urinal? And they said, oh yeah, we can do that. And so it was a gold urinal, and it had the Green Bay, with the green and white on the goal. and so we did that in honor of the Packers.
Rivalries are fun.
Yeah, fun as heck. You, Tommy Kramer, you had Bud Grant, who was the coach. Then he left. Les Steckel took over. Then Bud Grant came back. What was that like? And then, of all of your coaches, was Jerry Burns the one that probably his personality you enjoyed the most?
Oh yeah, he's the funniest guy I've ever met without trying to be funny. It's like it just comes out of his mouth. And then some of those after he took over for Bud in 86, he was the head coach, and he would keep everybody laughing all the time.
Yeah, he seemed to be a character. He always seemed like he looks like there's an actor. He looks like an actor, Paul. You ever seen a picture of Jerry Burns?
Yeah.
He looks like an actor that, and I don't know who it is because I'm terrible when it comes to actors' names, but he looks like one of those guys that would be a part of it. You played in a championship game. Was that right against was it the Cowboys when you were against?
My rookie year, we played Dallas in Dallas for the NFC championship game. And but that Bud wouldn't put me in. I'd just stand by him on the sidelines. Because we played at Cowboy Stadium, and we won the state championship at Cowboy Stadium. They had that 3-foot crown.
Yep.
To the middle of the field. And so I was used to it. And but except back then, those guys in Dallas were quite a bit taller than the ones you faced in the high school state championship. They boys 6'8", 6'9". Whoa.
Yeah, they had Too Tall Jones at John Dutton. They had some. Now, what do you think? What do you see now when you watch the NFL? When you see names like Patrick Mahomes, he of course won a Super Bowl with Kansas City. Some of the young quarterbacks. Anyone in particular, Tommy, that you kind of catches your attention? Is it Mahomes? Is it Aaron Rodgers? Who is it?
Well, yeah, Mahomes definitely. I mean, he's he can move around. He throws all different angles, and he's done a great job with Kansas City. And there are a lot of good quarterbacks in this league now, and the majority of them, it's almost like you're playing basketball on turf. But everybody's just throwing the ball all the time now.
You mentioned,
but that's a fun way.
Yeah.
It's a fun game to watch when they're throwing the ball all the time.
Well, that's what you did at Lee, and of course Rice is it. So when you said you went to Rice, you could have gone pretty much anywhere. Is that right? But that was where you knew they were going to throw the football the way you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the main reason I went there.
Pat Rocket played with the Atlanta Braves, I believe. Osborne eventually played what, Tommy, with the Philadelphia Eagles? Is that right?
Yeah, Eagles and a couple other teams too. Jets, the Jets too.
You played the first high school game, as you mentioned. You played a high school playoff game at Texas Stadium, and they had the crown, but that allowed you to know a little bit more about it. What was it like? Now that stadium's now a parking lot. What was that like to play in that, what was this brand new, glitzy stadium that eventually had amazing memories with Roger Staubach and company, and you played the first high school game there?
Yeah, it was a big honor. It took a little while getting used to that crown on there, and during pregame warm up, it's like because your adrenaline's going, and man, I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn in those pregame workouts. So then the offensive coordinator, Mike Crockett, comes up to me, puts his arms around me, says, once they knock your face in the dirt, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Tommy, thanks so much. Thanks for what you've done for people who need it. Thanks for being a part of the show. I always remember I was at what was then Northeast School District Stadium, whatever it is, watching you play in a playoff game. My brother played at Roosevelt, and you guys were fantastic. Beat Wichita Falls, I believe, for the state championship in 1971. Thanks for your time, and good luck the rest of the way.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You too, Tommy Kramer. They beat Wichita Falls High School at Texas Stadium 28-27 for the state title. Next year, lost to Sterling out of Baytown in the semifinals 21-20. And he goes, so how about that? He could have gone anywhere. But back then, how many teams were throwing the ball like Rice?
No one.
Everyone else, you had the
Rice or San Diego State back then.
UT was running the bone, right?
Yeah, especially if you want to stay in Texas. A&M, UT.
Yep.
I'm sure Baylor was running. I don't know if they were on the bone, but they were running at least like the Power I or something like that. And then, pretty much everybody was either the bone or the eye.
Yep. All right, coming up at 4 o'clock, a guy that caught a ton of passes. He's the legendary royalty of Baylor, Lawrence Elkins, at 425. He played in the Hula Bowl, and one of his teammates, I think maybe a teammate or on the other team, was Jerry Rome. Long-time assistant coach and football player in the NFL from Tulsa. He's going to join us at 425. But coming up next, perhaps the game of the week in high school football in this area and around the state it's number 1 La Vega in 4A Division I, number 7 Conley in 4A Division II. They didn't play last year, but they resumed the rivalry. It's this Friday. We'll have the broadcast on Sikkim 365 Radio and on 106.7. The Eagle, Shane Anderson, and Don Hyde, and how they're intermixed together next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, come by. Let's be friends. And Alan Samuels yet again with more and more of what they have for you. A 3-day weekend sale, an event with incentives on brand new Ram trucks and Jeeps, plus special incentives on Dodge, Chrysler, Fiat vehicles. Here's what they have. 0% financing and no payments for 90 days. Is still in effect on almost everything on the lot. You can literally save thousands of dollars right now at Allen Samuels. The dealership is sanitized, safe environment. You can go by, shop in person. Staff is 100% on board to give you a safe experience. But you can also, if you want, just shop online. They'll deliver it to you at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. They are loaded up with all sorts of new inventory because there are numerous states in which they have relationships with other car dealerships because Allen Samuels is spread out throughout the country. And right now, an exclusive Labor Day sales event going on brand new Ram trucks and Jeeps, plus special incentives on select Dodge, Chrysler, and Fiat vehicles. Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340, east of 84 in Waco.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hi, this is Connolly football coach Shane Anderson. I'm a proud listener and supporter of the all-new Sikkim 365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Connolly Cadets football coach Shane Anderson is sponsored by Masonic Construction, Sturdy Steel, American Bank, Graham Properties, Richard Carr Motors, Parsons Roofing, First Central Credit Union, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine.
Connolly football coach Shane Anderson with me, Sikkim 365 Radio, and this is a series. You didn't play each other last year. 48 meetings, La Vega 30 wins, and Connolly 18. Is it nice to play them again?
Yeah, there's no doubt it is. I think we're at a place in our program, where we're worthy of getting back on the field with these guys. When we came in here the first year in 2015, they thumped us pretty good, and then we went over there and got thumped really good in 16, and then after that, I told Coach Williams at the time, I said, hey, man, we can't play right now. I said, y'all are Division I, we're Division II, so we got to build this thing up. And, but now that I think, after coming off a 12-1 season last year, confidence of our kids, confidence of our program, I think we're in a good place. And I think, looking back to that 1999 game that I played in, when we were both top 10 teams, that was the kind of atmosphere that we were looking for this Friday night.
The story as well is that what friendship and Don Hyde, the coach at La Vega now the last couple of years, the head coach, you know him, he coached here, he coached you when he was here, and how you have soaked in whatever he's been able to teach you and vice versa, how close the two of you are.
Coach Hyde's always been a mentor of mine since, it goes way back to when I was a little kid and he started his coaching career. Of course, when I was a little kid, he was the young guy on the staff, he was the cool guy, the guy that was, I guess, closest to my age. And so, he and I hit it off. And then, after that 2000 season, he left and went down to Toulouse Midway as defense coordinator. And, that was a sad day for me, and I didn't understand it as a 16-year-old kid at the time. Why's my coach leaving? And, I cried, he cried. And a couple years later, he's back in Central Texas. And then, once I get into the coaching profession, we get back in touch. And, we stay in touch. And we talk almost daily, even on the week that we're not playing each other. And so, he's kind of a father figure in the coaching world to me. And, like I said, I love him like a dad. And we rely on each other a whole bunch. And so Friday night at 7:30 for 48 minutes, we'll hate each other. And then after that, we'll be back friends.
You win the first game 46-25. Sunnyvale, of course, a team that won 12 games last year. Offensively, you ran the ball almost at will, nearly 600 yards. And you unleashed Trey Wiseman. Obviously, everyone knew what Gaither could do. But what gets overlooked is what the offensive line does, even though those two guys can make their own holes and make big plays. How impressive, when you went back to look at film, were they?
They were very impressive. I thought their effort was unbelievable, and that's a tribute to Coach Cody Jones, who joined our staff this year as a new O-line coach, and Coach Paul Stapina, who coached the O-line. And, they got those guys playing with their hair on fire and believing in it. And then a lot of it has to do with those 4 of those 5 guys up there are 3, 2 and 3 year lettermen. They've played a lot of football games. And so, they know our offense like the back of their hand, and they know the adjustments and the things that we got to do, depending on fronts that we get and just those little tweaks. And they did. They opened up holes all night, and the backs ran well and took care of the football, which was a big part of it.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Are you a Sikkim 365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Hi, this is La Vega head football coach Don Hyde, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke. This is your home for the best high school football coverage in Texas.
Last year, you did not play Conley. You guys play again. 30-18 overall record against the Cadets. What an arch rival. You have a lot of them. Your thoughts about this game against the Cadets?
Anytime you play against Conley that's littered with athletes on the field, it's going to be a dogfight. Coach Anderson does a fabulous job over there with both offensively and defensively. He's got a good staff and a good group of kids, and so we look forward to a good contest.
You coached there once. In fact, Shane's told me that he's had some people, Terry Gamble among others, that have helped him along the way, but that he looks at you as a guy that got him in the business, helped them through the business, helped them stay patient with the business. Your relationship with him.
Well, when I was there, I coached linebackers, and Shane played linebacker for me at Conley. And I think I left before his senior year and went down to Corpus Christi with Buddy Griffin, and Shane was still there. And Shane was a heck of a football player. He's a heck of a coach. And I've been in this business a long time. And when he first got in, he called me for advice, and I appreciate the fact that he called me for advice, that I meant enough to him that he would seek my advice before he made decisions. And so he's a fabulous guy. We talk on the phone about every day, at least once. And so, I wish him nothing but the best except for this Friday night.
Yeah, this Friday night. And obviously they have the weapon in Gaither. You know him and what he can do. And now they have the little sophomore that's coming around, Wiseman, and what he gives them, an explosiveness. They haven't thrown the ball. In fact, they haven't thrown the ball at all very well. But your thoughts about the weapons they have on offense?
Oh, certainly they're littered with talent on offense. Their offensive line does a great job. At the end of the day, it comes down to the 5 guys up front versus the 4 guys up front on defense, whether you're us or them. And so, at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. And skilled players aside, if you can't block them and we can't block them, it's going to be a long night for both offenses. And if they can block us or we can block them, it's going to be a long night for both defenses. And so, it's a game of matchups. Certainly, they've got some matchups working their favor. Certainly, we think we got some matchups working our favor. And so, it's going to be a fun game. The good thing about it is it don't affect what happens later on down the season, and so it's good for the community and good for me and Coach Anderson.
You have more than a half a dozen players who have already verbally committed to play college football at the next level, even through the pandemic, the shutdown, and then the back to work. And there's probably another half a dozen before it's all said and done. I was talking to Coach Carpenter. He said how proud he is of these guys. They make it easier for you. That doesn't mean you don't have to have their, your finger on their forehead every once in a while. But your thoughts about how this group has handled things?
This group is fabulous. Not only are they talented, but they're good students. They have great character. They're here early. They stay late. Right now we're virtual learning. They bring their Chromebooks up here, and after practice they sit down and get busy on their work. And it's just a great group of kids to have in the field house. It's a great group of kids to have on the team. But more than that, their parents are phenomenal people, and that's the reason the kids are like they are. They have a wonderful support system at home. Every one of these senior kids with their parents and their communication with their parents' communication with me, and vice versa. And so we're just extremely lucky to be in the position we are at La Vega.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom-ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine. Best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
The biggest, the baddest, and proven to be the best. Ram is back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now, get the Ram you've been waiting for less from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels. A new loaded-up 2020 Ram 1500 Longhorn 4x4. Now with a whopping $12,000 off. And first responders receive an additional $500. Big summer clearance event savings from the Ram leader, Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
More play action, wide open in the end zone, touchdown Thornton. They lost him again and a 29-yard TD strike.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Here we go with this 4 o'clock hour. We're going to have back-to-back guests, and I didn't know this when I booked them. Lawrence Elkins and I spoke earlier today, last night, Jerry Rome, that they were on the same Hula Bowl game. They were in the same Hula Bowl game. We'll have each one of them in back-to-back segments. But when you think about Baylor royalty, and you think about, of course, you have Grant Taft, and there's Mike Singletary, and, of course, RG3, and there's others, but you think about Don Truhl and also Lawrence Elkins. And Lawrence Elkins, the great Baylor All-American, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I don't think I can do much better than that, Lawrence, introducing you that way.
Well, that's pretty impressive, Dave. I've been introduced with less favorable terms than that before. But anyway, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke with me as well. So how have you, you're on a ranch, right? Aren't you on you live on a pretty good acreage?
No, sir. I've got 1.87 acres at the far edge of Clifton on the way to Cranfield's Gap.
Well,
I've got a guy named Bobby Joe Conrad lives right around the corner from me.
I know Bobby Joe Conrad. I don't know him, but I remember him as well. So how have you handled these last 3 to 5 months or so when you can't do too much? Are you still being as active as you always have been?
I've been hiding out a lot. I go down to the center at Goodall Witcher Hospital, and old George Cheshire, an old friend of mine, played at Baylor, pass catcher from Pasadena. We work out almost every day down at their little fitness center down here in Clifton.
Lawrence, we just had Tommy Kramer on, and he played at Rice in a time when they were throwing the ball around a little bit more. You and Don Truhl threw it around a little bit more than most teams were in the 60s. What was that like?
Well, I'll tell you what, it made you pretty tired at the end of the game. But anyway, yeah, we threw it a lot, not near as much as they do now, but we actually ran the ball a time or two. But surprising that we did that well. We didn't have the manpower, but had a lot of gritty little football players.
Lawrence.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go right ahead.
Remember Tommy Kramer, 11 years ago, I was at the Farrell Center when they put Kramer in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, and I was sitting next to Kill Monkey, aggravating her to death. But I remember old Tommy, golly, almost 50,000 yards in the pros, and I think I had 213.
Lawrence, can you take us through your decision to attend Baylor? On your Wikipedia page, it said that, Gordon Wood was obviously instrumental in I guess, not sending you that direction, but as far as the conversations you guys had that led you to Baylor, can you take us through that process, what that was like for you? I know baseball was an option as well.
Yes, sir. Coach Wood called me in his office one morning in the spring of 1961, and he said, I want to talk to you about something. And I said, yes, sir. Of course, you said yes, sir, to him. But he said, I'm not going to steer you anyway. He said, and I'm going to tell you that Darryl Raw is a good friend of mine. And I know he's been recruiting you quite heavily. He said, I've been thinking about it, and you're not going to get that much bigger. And Texas is going to have 100 people down there just like you, or maybe even bigger and better. He said, I've been looking at this coach at Baylor that came from a pro offense, and he throws the ball a lot. He said, that's your forte, is catching the football. You might accidentally make a tackle or two or block somebody. He said, well, that's your forte, and you don't tell anybody. But if I was you, I'd think seriously or consider going to Baylor. And I guess it took hold of me because I signed with them.
That's a great. I know that we've had you on before, but it's been a while. I don't remember that story. So that's from the great Gordon Wood as well. What was the difference? You played 10 games in 62, 63, 64, but obviously for your junior and senior year, you exploded from 24 catches, 4 touchdowns to 70 and then 50. What changed between 62 and 63? Was it playing time, or was it something different with the offense?
Yes, we had an all-conference flanker back named Ronnie Goodwin, and he played all of the offense, and I played mostly defense. And that was the basis of that. I mean, I tackled a lot and missed a lot of tackles, but Goodwin, I think, he caught 25 passes, I caught 24. And together, that's a lot in 1962.
It's a heck of a lot in 1962 for sure. Lawrence, when you look back at your time at Baylor, what's maybe one of the first things that jumps out to you?
Getting beat against Texas.
That's right off top, huh?
That's number one. That's all I've heard about for the last 50-something years. Even my old kinfolk said, how come you didn't catch that last pass? But, I ended up saying, well, I caught 12. I didn't catch 13.
What is the connection in you and actor Robert Duvall?
Well, I met him accidentally. I knew a guy down in Houston in the oil business, and Duvall used to come to his charity tennis tournament every year. And Duvall had called him and said that he know anybody that knew the old countryside of Texas. And he said, well, I know one. And he called me and said, I've got an actor friend that is coming to Texas, and he wants to go around these western places and try to pick up accents and music, etc. And he'll be flying into Abilene, Texas, a certain date. Would you meet him and show him around a couple of weeks? And I said, well, at the time I'm not doing anything. And next thing I know, he sends me a check for $3,500 to
Wow.
take him around. And so I met Duval at Abilene, and I didn't know who he was. That little short, bald-headed guy that looked kind of nervous. And I had rented one of those big Oldsmobile 98s back then, and I put him in the seat beside me. He told old David, whatever his name was, on Good Morning America, said he thought he was a dead man. That all I did was stare at him. But we became pretty good friends after that, and I took him around on the deal. I didn't know that it was for Lonesome Dove that he was researching for, and we went to Sammy Ball's at his ranch one afternoon, and that was a very, very pleasant time listening to Duval and Sammy Ball.
Lawrence, there's a room in my house that is completely dedicated to Lonesome Dove. It is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite movies. So now I think it's pretty cool that he picked up Gus's character from riding around with you.
Well, that's what he said. I don't know. We went all over West Texas, and the deal with Sammy Ball was important to him, he said. And I actually went to the Lonesome Dove rap party out in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I sat there with Tommy Lee Jones talking about high school football because he was there in Midland at the same time I was at Brownwood. I had to kind of collar one of those cowboys that was in Lonesome Dove, and that's another story.
Lawrence, for somebody who grew up in Brownwood and obviously had an excellent football career, I mean, rubbing elbows with Hollywood, you were on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson at one point. Like, just how much of a whirlwind was that for you as just a young man who, came from Brownwood, and here you are, you're in Hollywood, you're going to rap parties, you're meeting all these actors. How was that experience for you?
Well, it's kind of different, I guarantee you that. I don't know. It didn't interfere me. It didn't make me feel any better. I just hung around them.
Yeah.
Like I was at Meryl Streep's wine tasting party up in New York City, where she was showing a sculpture of her husband, and they were some kind of rackety-rack metal stuff that he was doing. She said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "Looks like a rig blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. That didn't go over very big."
Oh my God!
Here's some days we think we're going to just talk good old football stories, and here the most beloved modern actress, Lawrence, is committing faux pas.
So Robert Duvall, Tommy Lee Jones, Meryl Streep, Johnny Carson. Man, you had a hell of a run, buddy.
Yeah, I guess I kind of shrugged it off because I felt like, well, I'm pretty important tonight, but then that probably ended. But that wasn't the end of it. That night, we ran into Robert De Niro and Matt Dillon, that little actor.
Mm-hmm.
So we got into a snowball fight on the back streets of Western New York City. They didn't know I could throw the baseball before, but I had them running.
Oh, yeah.
I felt De Niro and Matt Dillon, and they were hooking.
Great. Who cares about what you did in football? This is all.
That's it.
Yeah, and the connection that you and Don Truhl had, and that was brought up earlier. Obviously, Baylor had the great run earlier in the decade when they won Big 12 titles, and the offense was explosive. What was it like to when you threw the ball? It was kind of ahead of its time. I asked Tommy Kramer that was in the early 70s. But what was it like? It's not like the ball wasn't thrown back then. It's like people think you were like playing with a boulder or something like that. You guys could sling it.
Yes, sir. That's like my junior year. The University of Texas football team, every one of them together, caught 60 passes, and I think including the Bluebonnet Bowl, I caught 77. And I figured if I went somewhere else, I wouldn't have done it. I was lucky to go to Baylor. We didn't beat everybody, but we scared the dickens out of them.
Mm-hmm. What do you see now when you watch football today, it seems like it's even more wide open. Of course, they kind of almost run the zone read like it's an option. It's almost really, in a lot of ways, it is like the option or the wishbone in just certain ways, but it's so spread out. What are your thoughts about the way the game is played today?
It looks a lot like flag football, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. These people are super fast, and they jump like an antelope. I wouldn't even be on the squad nowadays.
Oh, stop!
I've never seen such talented people, but they have it's a different deal. I mean, it's they're a little loose. They better not touch. In the old days, it was open season on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a quarterback. He was in fear of his life until the referee blew his whistle. But things have changed, and I don't know what's going to happen this fall. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I was going to make a Baylor game or not.
Well, I know they would love to have you. I know that, things are different, and there's the 25% capacity, and I think you had told me earlier you had tickets and you opted out, but I got a feeling if Lawrence Elkins wants to come to a game, we could make sure that happens. Not that
Go ahead.
Yeah, the way that your career ended so abruptly, Lawrence, after the spectacular college career and all the hype of what you could be in the NFL with the Oilers. What happened? Was that when you were injured? Did you know immediately that this is not good? Because now they can fix these things. You get back pretty quickly. Back then, you tear a knee and you pretty much were done.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I was screaming like a pig stuck under a gate, and I had about 4 jets on top of me in the end zone. And all I know is the Oilers got fined $2,500 paying me legally, whatever that means. That's another story.
Lawrence.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Lawrence, I know that you were a friend and you went to school with our dear friend Butch Henry, who we hosted the show with for a long, long time, and we lost him last week. Do you have any memories fun memories of Butch to share with us?
Oh yeah, old Butch was a character. Yeah, we actually had a couple of classes at Baylor under the inimitable Dutch Schrader.
Yeah,
and we gave him indigestion and ulcers. I guarantee. He was mad at us. There was Butch and me, and there's a big old guy, and I forget his name now. But we had elective PE classes with the Dutchman, and Butch was funny. I mean, he was always coming up with something, and it's really sad to hear him pass away. I feel he was a great guy. He a great coach with the little ones. He was special.
Yeah, he was. It's a really sad day a week ago. In fact, today's when he came home from the hospital, and then he was gone the next day. Your thoughts about Baylor football now? They have had this decade of success. They had the 1 year when Coach Rule arrived. They were terrible. They were 1-11. They've had the ups and downs of being really good as well. And now Dave Aranda takes over, and we don't know. Who knows? We'll find out against Louisiana Tech on September 12th. But your thoughts about watching them, the success they've had the last decade?
Well, it's been amazing for what we call a little Baptist school, and with the big boys, they've done quite well. They set up a program. Our athletic director, I think he's super special. He's different. Mac Rhodes is, I don't know, he's one of the top ones, I believe. I don't know if y'all believe it or not, but they put an entire sports system together, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Yeah, they've had a great run. It's successful across the board. Unfortunately, things were shut down, but he seems to be a different mind of what is important, what matters, and also yet still successful. You can do it all. And
right.
He seems to have all that put together. All right, we're going to have Jerry Rome on here in a minute. You want me to say anything? You want us to pass along anything to Jerry?
Yeah, tell old Jerry that I said hello, and he still looks like an old-time Western outlaw. we had fun in the Hula Bowl. Of course, his quarterback on the north, and I don't know why the state of Oklahoma was on the north in that game, but he had a guy, a big old tall kid named Jeff Jordan that caught a bunch of passes against us. He got the outstanding lineman. I think it's the Neil Blaisdell Mayor of Hawaii trophy or whatever it was, or Honolulu. I got the Governor John A. Burns trophy for the outstanding back. I remember Frank Broyles was the coach, and we had that double Arkansas punt return, and I ran a ball back almost 80 yards for a touchdown, and old Rick Redmond from Washington, he was kicking away from me, and guess who the other up back was?
Who's that?
Gale Sayers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. In
fact, he ran it back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What did he do?
He ran it back 85 yards, but they accused me of clipping.
They accused you of clipping. Jerry Rome, in fact, you bring up Gale Sayers. He'll be next week. He was great friends with Brian Piccolo, who we'll talk with him about that. Yeah.
I remember old Pick. He had just died when I spent a short time in Chicago, and it upset Gale to no end. But Rome was a horse, him and Howard Twilly.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. Appreciate you taking my call, and thank you for being a part of our show with Paul Craig and me today.
All right. Well, thank you for letting me in.
Thank you.
Sick 'em Bears.
There you go. Lawrence Elkins was a dude now. He had a knee injury that ruined his NFL career. How about Meryl Streep in a snowball fight with Meryl Streep, Matt Dillon, and Robert De Niro, and I peppered them with snowballs.
Yeah. By the way, there were so many things I loved about that interview. First of all, any history of Lonesome Dove, I love. It's my favorite old Western movie. It was my dad's favorite. But I learned a new phrase today, which is screaming like a pig stuck under a gate.
I wrote that down. Yeah. And only the way that he could possibly say it. Coming up next, it's Jerry Rome taking a trip down memory lane. He went to Sunset High School in Dallas, went to Tulsa, mentioned Howard Twilly, and then also Howard Twitty's a golfer, or was, and then also, of course, a longtime assistant coach, played quarterback in the NFL, Jerry Rome, next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. They had one of their pre-cooked meals available earlier today, and I was able to get one. And it is shrimp penne. Is that right? A pasta?
Penne.
Fantastic. And I can't wait to have that. It looks absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. I had a little sneak of that for a little bit today. I had a couple of bites, but I'll have that for dinner tonight.
Pesto or red sauce?
I can't remember. I think it's pesto. But on top of that, went by and picked up custom cut bone-in ribeyes and also bacon wrap fillets. Big, thick bone-in ribeyes. They're the best. So many that have put their pictures of what they're cooking on their grill or smoker or inside the Big Green Egg from product they get at the butcher shop at Waco Custom Marketplace. Constantly is on my timeline, and Waco Custom Marketplace can custom whatever you want cut. You can also do tri-tip and brisket, sure, but and if you want, even for something very special, a prime rib. They have hamburger meat if you want that, pork, poultry, and their seafood. And the bakery with fresh kolaches every single day. And let's say you like them a lot and you don't have to go by there every day. They also have some that they put in they freezer, seal it and have it in the freezer. And you could take them out and eat them as you want. Plus cookies and pastries and much more. But they have the pre-cooked meals, and these portions are very large. Waco Custom Marketplace, your tailgate store. There will be some of that still. Not a lot, but there will be. If you need product, you can always call ahead, and they can help you with that. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christian London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Great to hear from Lawrence Elkins and what he said about Jerry Rome as well. And, in fact, Jerry Rome now joins us. Long time quarterback in the National Football League and forever as well. Was a coach in the NFL, played at Sunset High School in Dallas, Tulsa, and had a great run there, and he joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. What are your thoughts, Jerry? Thanks for your time. I brought up the Hula Bowl to Lawrence Elkins. Your thoughts about that?
Lawrence Elkins, what a player. I believe that was Baylor Bears, huh?
Yes, sir. He played for Baylor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, we had fun over the Hula Bowl. That was quite an experience. Of course, I'd never been across any water except the Trinity River, so it was a good time.
You were at Sunset High School and obviously had a great career, but you started your college career at SMU and eventually ended up in Tulsa. Can you kind of take us back to how that changed?
Yes. I came out of Sunset High School. My father coached me in high school, which was a very great happening for me because we were able to sit down and we actually ran the spread offense at my high school, Sunset High School. Nobody was running the spread offense. We had seen it
on film back in 1950 with TCU. They had done some of it. SMU had done some of it a long time ago, and we just said, hey, let's put them in a spread and see what happens. And wow, did it make a difference?
Wait a minute. So you hear all these things? Yeah. No, you were going to finish the story about how you ended up from SMU to Tulsa. I'm sorry.
Right. I went to the first thing I did is I went to SMU, and after 2 years, Bill Meek was the head coach, and we're going to run a spread. And my sophomore year, as a freshman, you weren't eligible to play on the varsity. So my sophomore year. After the second game, he put me in, and I started playing anyway. I led the Southwest Conference in total offense and passing, and at the end, and we had a good year. And at the end, they fired him, and the whoever was behind all that got all enamored with Arkansas University's offense, and they hired Hayden Fry to come in and to run Arkansas offense. Now, he came in, and that just didn't set very well with me. I would have never gone to Arkansas. I was not. He was running the wing T, and I don't know if you remember what the wing T was like, but
oh yeah,
the quarterback basically was the blocking back, and it just wasn't up my alley. And I just told Hayden, I said, Coach, I'm sorry. I'm not coming back. I can't play in this kind of offense. I would have never gone to Arkansas. He said, this is the only way to play football. And I said, well, I really differ from that, with my opinion, with your opinion. And it's so funny because it was not 3 years later that he was leading the Southwest Conference in passing with a spread offense from a South Oak Cliff quarterback. And then when he went to North Texas, he was using a rookie that his older brother had been a running back at the Redskins, Washington Redskins, and Washington, I believe was his name. Yeah, Washington. And they didn't even use any backs in the backfield. He went from one extreme to the other, and then later on he went to Iowa. And by that time I was pro ball coaching, and I went to Iowa to check out a player that they had that we were thinking about drafting. And I sat down with him for about an hour in his office, and he said, well, I didn't listen to you, but then the longer it went, the more it hit me in my head. He says, I said, well, it's too bad we couldn't have, you coach and me play together, but we both ended up in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's a great deal. We're talking to Jerry Rome, played with the Cowboys, Browns, Oilers, Rams, and even in the CFL with the Montreal Alouettes. And then
that didn't last very long.
Jerry wanted that extra down. He had like
Seattle, the Redskins won a couple of Super Bowls. Chargers, Cowboys in '89. Was that Jimmy Johnson's first year when you were in Dallas?
Yes, but we didn't win the Super Bowl. We had a rough year. Troy Aikman's rookie year, and poor Troy just got beat to pieces. We just didn't have enough players. And it wasn't until that next spring that Jimmy Johnson pulled off the biggest robbery in the history of the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't know if you know that story.
Oh, yeah.
But, oh, man, it was I had the privilege of being right there within 10 feet of him. And, he just absolutely robbed them. He not only got the players, he got draft choices and everything else, and it was all for the running back. I can't think of his name now, Herschel Walker. And Herschel was, a good man, great athlete. He wasn't worth all that. And Lynn in Minnesota thought they were just a running back away from the Super Bowl, and that was his answer to the Super Bowl. And I watched Jimmy right there do his little deal, and we're going to give you anybody but Herschel. And then of course Jimmy put his hand over his mouth and act like he's laughing, and that's what he was selling. He was selling Herschel, and he sold him.
What was the talk around the league like when that trade went down? Because there's never been, outside of maybe Mike Ditka trading his whole draft for Ricky Williams. There's really never been anything else like that.
No, there wasn't. I mean, like I say, Jimmy had a plan, and Herschel wasn't going to fit into it. And Herschel was a great athlete. He could run, he could fast, he could do everything, except he didn't fit into a pro offense because he was not a very good receiver, and he really was a ball carrier and not a blocker. So what are you going to do? You can't line him up and run every down. It just wasn't going to work out. And Jimmy spotted that right there, and he knew if he could get the number one pick, he'd get Troy Aikman.
Well, go ahead, Craig.
What do you remember about Jimmy getting off that phone call when he knew that the trade was going to go through and that he was going to get what he wanted?
Oh, he stood up with his hands up in the air with his fist closed and danced all the way around the room. We all applauded. I mean, he did it. He pulled it off. Jimmy was very, very shrewd and a fine coach. And he took it. That first year, it was a little rough, but once he started bringing them in, and then he made that big old huge trade down the road, also another one, and it just worked out. I was gone by then. I had I went to Arizona and then Minnesota, but I went on with my career. I didn't know where that was going, and plus, well, I don't want to get into that. We had one coach that was going to run the offense, and I just couldn't see it,
Jerry, you mentioned that first year in '89 they were 1-15, but Troy Aikman got thrown around like a dish rag. When you knew they were going to get him, to have him, even though he struggled and had to deal with the fact there wasn't a lot around him, what did you see? Is he one of the greatest prospects to come out of the NFL? I mean, come out of college football?
Oh yes. He probably was the number one to ever come out. I don't know of any guy that's ever come out that was. I mean, well, look at him. He's one of the all-time best players that ever played. So just figure it. If he's one of the best players that ever played the game, then he possibly could have been the best player to ever come out of college. So it just goes with it. And he was not a scrambler. It's so funny. I always had a scramble drill. We'd do it before practice and then after practice, and I guess I had coached teams that you better be able to scramble. And even with the Redskins, I did it. And you didn't necessarily. I mean, it wasn't like we couldn't block. It's just that it happens. And so Troy just, we were, doing drills, and he goes, "I don't do this." And I went, "You don't do what?" He says, "I don't run around." And I go, "You mean no one's ever rushed you?" And he goes, "I get rid of the ball." And I go, "Well, I tell you what, let's just try it, and let's see if we can teach you how to throw on the run." And anyway, later on, at the end of the year, he just gave me a big hug, and he says, "If you hadn't taught me how to do that, I'd gotten killed." And I said, "Hey, listen, that was what my job was."
Jerry, how have you
did yours?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Jerry, how have you seen the way, especially, in what you do a lot now in working with young quarterbacks, seen the way that the NFL wants their quarterbacks to be ready to play compared to 10, 15 years ago?
Oh, well, I think through time, it's been proven that guys can, play that first year. And there's no, the old scenario of, bringing them out of college and, keep sitting on the bench and training them for 2 years and get them ready and all that. That just went out the window. And guys like Troy Aikman, was one of them that proved that. And there were others that, Warren Moon certainly proved it. And, he went up and set the Canada on fire and then came down and didn't have any problem fitting in to play in the NFL. So, I got a quick story. When I was and this has to do with me getting ready to play football in my career, I had a good friend named Ken Krause who was the backup quarterback, and unfortunately he ran into he's got the distinction of playing behind two All-American quarterbacks. One of them was Bo Miller at Austin College where he went, and then me in high school. But there was a park in Dallas called Keys Park, and it's got a road that goes all the way around it, and it's just a two-lane road, and it's about 25 yards apart. And we used to circle that whole thing on the run and then stop, and then we got all the way around it, then we stopped and went back and circled it all the way around and back. We did that every day when we worked out. You think that didn't, teach me how to throw and a run?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question about it.
Yeah, he was a great pal. And he lives in Waco. His name is Ken Krause. He's sitting there listening to this right now.
Ken Crouch, listening to us on Sikkim 365.
Krause.
Oh, Krause, okay.
K-R-A Krause, K-R-A-U-S-E.
Listening to us on the Sikkim 365 app here in Waco, Texas. We're listening to, again, Jerry Rome. Brian Piccolo. You mentioned, we had Lawrence Elkins mentioned Gale Sayers. You were a very close friend of the late Brian Piccolo, who's one of the great stories in really pro sports history and what he fought and who he was. When did you get to know him?
I went down to, after we played in the Blue Bonnet Bowl down in Houston, and Tulsa went down there and beat Mississippi in 1964 from Mississippi. You remember how that state was? Mm-hmm. And they were gleaming white players, and we had 9 Afro-American players on our team. And, oh, boy, that was really on fire, that whole game. It was before the game, we ate at the same restaurant they were coming in when we were going out, and there were comments made to us, and they said things to our black players. And when we got back to the hotel, we had a private meeting, and that's it for Ole Miss. They turned from a 12-point underdog and got beat 14-7. And that night at the banquet, we were introduced, and I got the MVP award for offense. And our coach, Glenn Dobbs, announced that Willie Towns, who played later for Dallas, and he was an All-American at Tulsa, got the defensive award, and everybody clapped and stood up except one side of the room. Mm-hmm. Not one word, no one clapped, no one stood up. And our coach walked up there and said, "Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate playing in this game. We enjoyed beating Mississippi. They were a fine football team. We're gone." And we all got up and walked out.
Wow. So you had a taste. I was proud. Yeah, you should have been. So you've had a taste of what we see now. There's obviously a lot of discussion, a lot of anger. There's also a lot of maybe even not understanding. So you got a taste of that back when you were very young.
1964. I mean, this was all going on in 1964. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali had just come in, and and he changes his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali, and everybody, all the white people, oh yeah, look at that, and then they made comments, and he just said, "I'm the greatest," and he proved it. And but I mean, I can remember those days. I can remember being out at the Fair Park and the way the black people were treated. And I remember one little kid came over to get a drink of water, and some man says, "You can't drink here. Get out of here. Get out of here." And I was standing there, and I walked over, and I said, "I think you can." And the guy looked at me, and he just turned around and walked off. And I said, "Come here, get yourself a drink."
Wow.
And they had, the fountains were colored with a written over them, and then over here was white. And that little kid didn't know that, Mm-hmm. I mean, it's terrible. But that was happening back in the 60s. Now it's all happening again, man. Maybe this time it'll sink in.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. Jerry, if you don't mind, one more question. I know you got to go as well.
That's all right. I'm having fun, and hit me with whatever you want to ask me.
You shared with me, you're the one that, did you work out Steve Largent when you were Seattle with the Seahawks back in your early part of your career as an assistant coach?
Did you know where Steve Largent went to play his college football?
Tulsa.
Right. I was the offensive coordinator.
There you go.
Well, there's the connection.
I was the receiver. I was the quarterback receiver coach. I mean, we only had like 6 coaches. I was the quarterback receiver coach, and I was the offensive coordinator. So I took Steve Largent from his sophomore year, and he led the NCAA in touchdown passes 2 years in a row, and was All-American. I went to Seattle. And so I was there for about 2 months before they had the draft, and Jack Matera, the head coach, got to see how I was working with guys and all that. And so I just stood up in a meeting and I said, guys, we need to draft Steve Largent. And I had a bunch of the scouts say, are you kidding? He can't outrun my mother. And I go, oh, I think he can. And not only can he do that, that's what I said. I said, let's don't measure the player to how fast he is. Let's measure him as to how good he is. I said, you only have to run fast enough to win. And I said, if you've got great feet and great moves, great heart and great hands, hey, the kid, we got him in the 4th round. He comes in. He made Player of the Year. Rookie of the Year. Excuse me, that's what it was. Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
the very first. Hey, this is a good one, and I'll let you. I don't mean to be hogging the stories, but this was a good one. When he came, when we finally got him for a 4th round from Houston, he came in and we were just on the field, and I said, "Go in there and get your uniform on. Come on." And so he went out on the field. He got out there right in the middle of practice. He couldn't catch a cold. I mean, he was hitting him in the head. He was stumbling around, and I'm going, what the heck is this? This isn't Largent. And so he came in, and everybody was laughing at me. They go, oh, that's your boy, huh? Wow, he really put on a show. And I said, that ain't my boy. I don't know who he is. And I said, I'm going in to find out. And I said, come on, Steve, let's go outside. And I said, Steve, what in the world is wrong with you? And he goes, I have not slept for 8 days.
Oh, wow.
He said, I'm the one that's taking care of my family. My father left us a long time ago. And he says, if I don't make this, we're in serious trouble. And I said, you're going to make it. There is no fact. There's no doubt. I'm the offensive coordinator and the receiver coach. You are going to make it. So go get on that bus, go back to a hotel, and go to bed. And then I want to see Steve Largent the next day.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah, and he shows up and goes out on the practice field, and he's out there doing his thing, and everybody comes up to me and they go, well, who the hell is that? Who was that yesterday? And I said, this is the real Steve Largent.
What an incredible story. One thing I want to share with what Lawrence Elkin said with you, and we have to go. He said that Jerry Rome probably still looks like an old-time Western outlaw.
God, what is Lawrence? Is that what Elkin's saying?
Yeah. No,
yeah. Well, I might have been part of the posse chasing him.
That's right.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Elkins has a bit of a Walter Brennan quality to him, where he might be just kind of sitting there and telling John Wade to stop picking on dude or something.
Yeah. He does, and then he gets on his horse and rides off.
Jerry, we have to get you on again. Paul Warfield, when you guys were in Cleveland in the Army and painting tanks and all that. Craig, you have more?
The Cowboys
that was hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Cowboys locker room in the 60s.
That guy may be one of the greatest players. Probably was one of the top 3 greatest players in the history of football. And he's painting tanks all day into the night up till midnight, and he's got to play the next day against the Minnesota Vikings. Awesome. And we're playing for the Browns.
Craig, you want to add something else?
He did.
No, I think
we did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think we're going to have to get a return visit.
Yeah, we'll have to get a return visit. Jerry, thank you so much, and thanks for sharing the stories about Piccolo, the game against Ole Miss, and obviously Steve Largent and so much more, Troy Aikman. Thanks for your time. I'll be in touch if that's okay with you.
Well, listen, I would be happy to do it again because I got a bunch of Piccolo stories that are really great, and I didn't get to tell them.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, we'd do that. We'll maybe even get you on as early as again next week. That's Jerry Rome, Sunset High School, Tulsa. Coached, played in the NFL for a long time, from 1965 all the way to 2005. What unbelievable stories from he and Lawrence Elkins. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. You've heard me talking about it since the first day that we started this show. It's one of my favorite places because whatever you need, whether you're, going for a nice bottle of Balcones whiskey, or maybe you want some wine, maybe you're a craft beer fan, they've got you covered. Plus, they can just give you great advice on getting something, like if you're going to a party or something like that, you're trying to entertain. Say you're going, my friends have a craft beer giveaway every Christmas. And while I can go in and do that because I know that world, if you were going to that party and you weren't a craft beer person, they could point you in the right direction and kind of do that. They can point you in the right direction when it comes to any new stuff that they come in and have there. And they love telling you about it. I love going in there and just walking around and seeing the new stuff that they have. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family owned and operated, in a hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543. It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else. Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi. Great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breasts, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco. House-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated. Waco 425 Lake Drive in Waco or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This segment with Olin Buchanan of TexAgs.com is sponsored by Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, with over 40 group exercise classes Monday through Sunday on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Jerry Rome has already said he'll come back with us next Wednesday. With so much more to get to, including stories about Brian Piccolo. We hit all the various topics from Troy Aikman's rookie year to Steve Largent and the tryout. We're now joined by Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com. Olin, thanks for your time. Craig and Paul, David Smoke. So A&M has had a couple of players opt out. Which ones of the two, or which of the two or both, would probably have the biggest impact?
Without a doubt, Elijah Blades. I thought he was a potential starter at cornerback. I thought he was their best corner last year, even though he was playing hurt. He only played about half the season. He was kind of a junior college guy that had a shoulder issue when he got here, and he tried to play through it. I remember there was a game at Mississippi State. He got hit on the shoulder, came out for a little while, came back in, made a diving deflection, came down on the shoulder, and he was done for the year. Missed, I think, the last 4 or 5 games of the year. Thought that he would be a starter, at least have a chance to be a starter if he was healthy, and apparently the shoulder still has some issues. So he thought it was best for him to sit out, probably is, because it might be a lot like it was last year. Derek Tucker, 2 years ago when he was a freshman, I thought this guy was going to be a star player. Had a huge game against Ole Miss, played really well against LSU, and in the bowl game against Wake Forest, had another nice game along the way. I can't remember who it was against, Florida. He played really well in that game. And then 2 years ago, as a sophomore, he just regressed dramatically and lost his starting job pretty early in the year. And then last year even decided to, after 4 games, to take a voluntary redshirt. And now he's saying that, he wants to sit out as a protest for, as part of Black Lives Matter protest. I don't think he was going to play anyway. I think A&M has really bolstered the depth at safety. And I think he was, to be quite honest, probably about 4th on the depth chart. So, of course, you want to have all your players. But I don't think Derek Tucker deciding to opt out hurts him at all.
Who do you think steps in for Blades?
Well, I thought he was a real candidate and a likely starter, but they feel good about what they have at corner. Jimbo Fisher has just been raving about the senior Miles Jones, who I think has been inconsistent. But he seems to think that, whatever issues he might have had before, he's worked out. We won't know, of course, till they actually start playing. But Fisher's been high on him as a returning starter. And then they got the 5-star kid out of the San Antonio area, Jalen Jones, that he said last week already looks like a senior and all those things. Again, you can look really good in August and early September. We'll wait till they actually start playing. And then they have a junior college guy that a lot of I think they got him away from Auburn. I might be wrong on that, but I know big-time programs were after Brian George. They have some other guys that they've been playing in nickel that's been around a while, like Clifford Chapman, Devin Morris out of Caldwell High School here nearby, played real well at the nickel. So got some other another freshman that they brought in that they felt good about. So there's no doubt in my mind that a healthy Elijah Blades at the very least would have been in the 2 deep. So there's no way around it to sugarcoat it and say that he's not a loss, that his loss won't be felt. But if you can stay healthy there, and I guess you'll be holding your breath, but if you can stay healthy there, I think you're still going to be okay. But again, I want to reiterate, not trying to pump sunshine. Not having him around is a significant loss.
Olin, DeMarvin Leal was obviously a very highly touted guy coming in, and he certainly flashed that talent last year. In the SEC, the line play is obviously of high importance, and it is across college football, but particularly the SEC. You've got those just amazing defensive linemen. What are the expectations, or what has Jimbo Fisher said about Leal and that D-line unit heading into this year?
That he's going to be great, and maybe this year. I think Marvin Leal, we ranked him as the best player on the team. We did a countdown, and, part of that's what we saw last year, and part of it's projecting what he'll do this year. But there's no doubt he's just immensely talented, moves so well for a guy his size, just gets it, understands how to play football, not just an athlete out there. And I really think that I'm not going to say he's going to go out and put up like Myles Garrett numbers, total sacks, but I think he's going to be a good pass rusher and be very good against the run. And there's no reason to think that he won't be one of the I'll just put it this way, a very serious contender for first-team All-SEC honors. I think this guy's going to be an All-American someday.
It's interesting because you mentioned with Derek Tucker and that story, and A&M, just like Baylor, just like other campuses around the country, have had some players who have spoken out. Has that in any way created anything new from the time that A&M had that near the statue? There was kind of like a stare down. Has that all, in your opinion, is there still some flare-ups with that, and how has the fan base handled it?
Well, they had a march last week. It was a BLM march. I think it was last Friday. And the whole team just took off practice. Jimbo Fisher was with them. He was supporting them. Quite frankly, I don't think it really interrupted that much the preparation for the season opener because typically, we all know typically you get about a month to get ready, and this year you get about 6 weeks. But beyond that, there really hasn't been, at least as far as I know. I think this is a very focused football team and feels like they have the potential to do something really special this year. And it seems like, of course, I'm not around all the players, but it seems like from the reports we get and from the interviews we do that we are allowed to do, that's really been the focus of this team.
Olin Buchanan will join us every Wednesday at about 4:45 on Texas A&M football with us here on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Hey, Olin, how's Jimbo?
Come on Thursday, too, if you want.
Yeah.
Olin, is
Jimbo
going to find a honeymoon time getting married here recently?
Yeah, it's funny. They got married. He said that it was just him and his wife and the preacher because, the whole COVID thing. Well, there's an open date on the 24th.
There you go.
So, from what I understand, they're a really good match because he liked to watch film and she liked to watch game film with him. I imagine, if she can wait until the end of the season, I bet he could afford a really nice trip.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I think he's doing all right.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Olin, thanks for your time as always. We appreciate it on Wednesdays with us on A&M, and hopefully, and we are just around the corner for you a little bit longer than Baylor and a few others of your first game that you get to cover and talk afterwards as well. Olin Buchanan, TexAgs.com, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. When we come back, 5 o'clock hour, John Machota will join us from The Athletic on the Cowboys and much more. And this is Sikkim 365 Radio.
If you are in the market for a new home or trying to sell the one you are in, call my good friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Let them be your go-to source as you search for your perfect home. Lance is a great guy. He's going to fill whatever needs you have when it comes to a new home because he's going to see things that you don't see. He's also going to find out things about you that you may not even realize that you want in a house or things that'll fit your family. That's the kind of realtor and that's the kind of guy Lance Donaldson is. So give him a call, 254-214-3713 or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
The biggest, the baddest, and proven to be the best. Ram is back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now, get the Ram you've been waiting for less from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels. A new loaded-up 2020 Ram 1500 Longhorn 4x4. Now with a whopping $12,000 off. And first responders receive an additional $500. Big summer clearance event savings from the Ram leader, Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
With a proven performance reputation spanning 85 years, Sturda Steel operates with one sole purpose, producing the highest quality seating solutions with the best and most efficient processes in the industry. With engineered, fabricated, and installed grandstands and bleachers all across North America. Whether seating 50 to 50,000, the skill and versatility of our workmen are evident in the quality and precision work detailed on every bleacher and grandstand project. Sturda Steel, family owned and operated since 1934 at sturdasteel.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Prescott gets it complete as Cooper takes it all the way.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. This 5 o'clock hour. The storytelling today of Lawrence Elkins and Jerry Rome, among others, has been fantastic. And now John Machota joins us, The Athletic, with us covering the Cowboys on Sikkim 365 Radio. So, John, what did you get out of whatever that was, that practice or scrimmage, or did you get anything out of it?
Probably the biggest thing was that just my appreciation for numbers on jerseys, I think I took for granted. Kind of went back to my days of covering some high school football when some jerseys you'd be up in the press box and the numbers would just, they would match too much with the actual jersey. You couldn't tell who the players were and you're trying to keep stats. So it was kind of like that. But to be honest, there just wasn't a lot to even really take from that. They weren't really doing this. Wasn't like your typical, practice. Like people were thinking like there's gonna be some tackling to the ground. It'll resemble a game or anything like that. Like it wasn't really. It was just like the practice we've seen throughout training camp, where they're it's all about the tempo. That's the thing Mike McCarthy wants. He wants to see them get on the tempo that they can play on Sunday, rotating guys in and out and being ready to go that way. But they're not like, no big hits. They're just like the tackles aren't there. So it's not like it was going to be a lot to show off anyway. And so I just figured there'd be more that they would show on television than they did. And it certainly seems like the viewers at home are pretty upset about that.
John, the 53-man roster will be coming here pretty quickly. What do you think? What do you think about it? And do you think there'll be any surprises?
I think the biggest potential surprise is that they could go with only two running backs, and I think that obviously that'd be Ezekiel and Tony Pollard. I don't think this team's going to carry a fullback, and that would always be a spot that you could pretty much match in there for Jason Garrett's teams. And then the fact that the young runners that they have, I think there's a good chance they can get one of those guys back over onto the practice squad. And so why not try and keep an extra defensive back, an extra defensive lineman, or an extra offensive lineman instead of keeping a running back that it's not like you really need to keep one of these guys. So, as long as Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott are healthy, they're going to get all the touches. There's not another back on this roster that's going to take a touch away from any of those guys. So at least to get them through the initial 53, I think there's a chance they might only keep two running backs. I put that out in my 53 projection today, and there's already people criticizing that, saying there's no way they'll only go with two. I don't know. We'll see on Saturday. I think there's a decent possibility that happens.
So, John, do you think there's any reason to be concerned about Amari Cooper, or is this just kind of the typical thing that's going to go along with him as a Dallas Cowboy?
Reason for concern, there's just levels too. It's all relative.
Right.
So, like, as if he was like having an MRI or something like that, and you don't know. No, not on that level, but reason for concern that he dealt with a bunch of injuries last year. Sure, yeah, no, there definitely needs to be some. You can't just sit there and think that they're just keeping him out of the last three team drills because they don't want any extra wear and tear on his body. Like clearly he must have felt like maybe a little bit of a tweak or something, maybe to his groin, maybe to his hamstring or something like that, to where they're like, all right, let's slow it down, let's knock this thing back. We know you know how to play on Sundays. We don't need you killing yourself here in some practice, and then all of a sudden you're out for the first few weeks or something. So I don't think it's nothing that's going to keep him out of week one. But it is interesting that Mike McCarthy went from saying on Sunday night that it's nothing, there's no injury concern, nothing like that, and then today saying, all guys are dealing with something in training camp. So I think it's more than just preventative, but that's what the Cowboys are saying right now, that it's preventative, that they're just trying to be extra cautious with Amari Cooper. Fortunately for the Cowboys, they drafted a receiver at 17, so even if they don't get 100% of Amari Cooper until he gets back to being fully healthy, they should still be in pretty good position with playmakers on the perimeter.
Well, and speaking of that other receiver they drafted, I saw one of your tweets. Dak was commenting on CeeDee Lamb. What do you have to say?
Yeah, Dak, I feel like I like hearing what Dak had to say about him because it validated the rest of us who I feel like, they've been so limited on how many people they've allowed to watch these practices. And so, when they get over, I'm tweeting about him or I'm writing about him, and people are just like, yeah, I think you guys are overselling the CeeDee Lamb. And it's like, we've been impressed with him almost every single day. And Dak said the same thing. He said that he might have had, as good of a camp, if not the best camp of anybody on the roster. And so, obviously he's catching his attention, and they spent some time before training camp started at Dak's house doing some workouts and stuff like that. And so Dak had been around him a little bit before camp officially started, but he's exceeded his expectations. And so obviously that's a good sign to have because, Dak's going to be thrown to him a lot. Like this isn't going to be some, he's a rookie, we'll slowly ease him into the process. No, CeeDee's going to be a major part of the offense beginning week one. And so it's good things to hear about your first round pick. And really, to be honest with you, most of the Cowboys' first round picks offensively have been pretty successful over the last few years. It's really been the defensive Tristan Hill, Taco Charlton first picks that they've made that have left a little to be desired, even though Tristan Hill didn't go until the second round. But the expectations are super high, and Dak did nothing today to try and ease us off the overselling CeeDee hype.
When you look at Dak Prescott, the maturity of just the fact he was a fourth-round pick, and then all of a sudden this team is thrust, basically he gets the keys to the car because of what happens with Romo and then what Kellen Moore, whatever. And now you look at him, this is his football team, right?
Absolutely. There's zero doubt about that. And that's just not only just how he carries himself, whether it's in interviews or just, outside of the football field when you just see him, whether it's, speaking out on different things or doing commercials or just things that you see him involved with outside of actually on the football field. He just has such a leadership quality about him. And just he has just a very it's very approachable, kind of a just every guy's guy. You could I think Mike McCarthy said it today, how he can just really Dak can just jump into any conversation with any person about anything. And I mean, he'll fit right in. I mean, he's just a natural like that. And so you have that side of it, but then the other part of it is that, he's not not to say that quarterbacks aren't physical, or I'm not trying to take any shots at quarterbacks, but this is a tough dude that's built like a linebacker. He hasn't missed a start yet. So it's you have all of the leadership qualities off the field, and then on the field, you're a warrior and you've been a winner at all levels of football you played at. Even if guys didn't like you, they're going to buy into that when they're on the field with you. But I mean, he's the total package. I mean, there's just there's not really a weakness to anything that he does. And it's funny because when we see him and we had a press conference with him today and we're talking to him, it's just it doesn't matter what question you ask him about. He's just so savvy and polished, and he just has an answer and just seems very calm about he's very confident in himself. There's no question about that.
Zeke Elliott mentioned that the offense isn't going to be very much different in the plays that they call, but the looks. Was that kind of saying that it's time, to move on past the kind of Jason Garrett, this is a run look, this is a pass look?
Yeah, I don't know that he was exactly taking a direct shot at Jason Garrett, but I think it was more of those, hey, everyone remembers what Zeke did in college, and he was running out of shotgun sets all the time, whether it was next to Cardell Jones or J.T. Barrett. And so, you look at what Dak did in college too, and that was very similar with him. That was the thing with Dak. One of the knocks on him was that he didn't take any snaps under center. That they were concerned at how that would work in the NFL because he'd have to take snaps under center, and obviously it wasn't a problem. But yeah, getting him in the gun, that's where that's one of the big differences. Is that this is what's going to happen. They're going to put mine up with Dak in the gun, Zeke right next to him, and 3 wide, sometimes 4 with Jarwin out there. And they're just going to spread things out and be like, hey, defense, you want to put 8 in the box? We're throwing all day. You want to go out there and defend our perimeter? We're running downhill at you. And it took doing that, won Ohio State a national championship. So Zeke's obviously all on board with that. And then you mix in a Tony Pollard into that too. Sometimes they'll have the 2-back sets, both out of the gun like that. It's going to look a lot more like what we've seen in college football over the years than it has in terms of the old-fashioned, 2 tight ends and a fullback running style that we've seen in previous years from the Cowboys.
While Lamb gets a lot of the attention amongst the rookies, or almost all the attention, I've noticed that Trayvon Diggs has, been impressing as well. What have been your impressions of the rookie at Alabama?
Yeah, for me, he's the most improved player in camp. We've watched 13 camp practices, and from practice 1 through probably 3 or 4, I was like, yeah, he's noticeable. He's wearing 31, which is obviously Byron Jones' old number. He's a big corner, but you're like, I don't know. I still think that he's gonna have his growing pains. He'll slowly come along, and maybe by a few games in the season, maybe he works himself more into the lineup, and then he just kept coming on stronger and stronger, and it just his length is just it's not that common he looks like a wide receiver out there, and so he's got ball skills. I mean, he's gotten his hands on. If he's not intercepting, he's getting his hands on balls and knocking them away, and this isn't going against third string guys either. I mean, especially with injuries to Chidobe Awuzie and Jordan Lewis. That's moved Trayvon Diggs right up the old depth chart, and he's going against the big dogs. So it's not like we're watching him dominate, lesser competition. He's getting out there against, a very impressive receiver core, and he's holding his own. And so just from what I've seen from him throughout these practices, it's like, I mean, up till now, it's just like I think he's ready to be thrown to the wolves. You can put him out there, and I mean, yeah, he'll probably get beat on some plays and things like that. There's going to be some growing pains, but I think he's going to make some plays too right out the gate. I think he would be my leader right now. And if I was making a prediction on who will lead the team in interceptions.
The conversation with Coach McCarthy about Kellen Moore, is he doing everything he possibly can to make sure he doesn't hover over Kellen Moore? And then secondly, Dak seems to be very comfortable with Moore coming back, and it's a continuity thing, right? Based on even those who have had success at his position before?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the big things Dak hit on today was just that, the continuity is one of the things that you see as quarterbacks that have had a lot of success in the NFL for a long period of time. There's been that continuity, And he didn't mention any names, but, we see it, Drew Brees and Sean Payton. I mean, that's been fantastic, that combination. Obviously, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, Peyton Manning and Tony Dungy for a long time there. And then, you look at right now, it certainly seems like the future of the NFL is going to be a long time of Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes. And so, I think that's the way he kind of looks at it is like, let's have this continuity of, we lost our head coach, but this guy was a key part of our offensive game plan. And we obviously had a pretty good offense. They had their shortcomings, no doubt, but I mean, to lead the league in yards clearly shows you it's one of the best offenses in the league. Why change up everything from that? And so, Mike McCarthy's been going out of his way, he said, to just try not to he doesn't want to be stepping on Kellen's toes, acting like he's looking over his shoulder. And he can say that, but he's actually, from what we've seen, he's done it because he certainly isn't one of these guys where he's like constantly over in the offensive huddle, constantly over with the quarterback. Now he is from times and stuff, but it's not like he's just always like looking over Kellen's shoulder and hey, call a couple of wrong plays here. I'm taking play calling over from you. It doesn't seem like that's the case. And so I think he wants to give Kellen every chance to succeed. And certainly Kellen's a guy that Dak has a lot of respect for. And if he didn't, he wouldn't be back as the OC. That's for sure. They would have went in another direction. So, as of right now, everything's good. They haven't lost a game. So, everyone's saying the right things. But if they lose and they're not playing well offensively, who knows what happens there. But as of right now, he's staying out of Kellen Moore's way and letting Kellen build off of what they did last year.
Anything else, guys? Craig, Paul, thank you, John. Appreciate your time as always. Getting closer and closer to the opening game. What's the game, Paul? Was it in the Rams?
It's in Los Angeles, yeah.
Yeah, the Rams.
At the new stadium with no people.
With no people. It's 5:19. On a day we've had Lawrence Elkins and also Jerry Rome. We've heard from Shane Anderson of Conley and Don Hyde of La Vega. Owen Buchanan from Texags. Terrell Burt just checked in. He was going to be on today's show, but work got in the way. Damn it. He's going to be on with us Monday evening. He'll join us.
Cool.
Jerry Rome has already said he's back on with us right now. And the 4 o'clock hour on Wednesday. I might just say the hour.
Yeah. I don't think that work is a fair excuse for people to skip this show because work has never kept the three of us from being off this show.
No.
I mean,
we're here every day.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, about Labor Day. So, and the response on the broadcast center, in case if you're just now joining us, and Leon, by the way, on the text line brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine said, you guys need to have these old dudes on again. Reminds me of being a kid around the campfire, hearing old Western stories. Man, I enjoyed both of them. Carl Campbell, awesome interview. That was during the interview we had with Jerry Rome, among some others. The storytelling, Lawrence Elkins interview is one of the best. I have been following Baylor football beginning with the John Bridges era, and those teams were among the best I have ever seen. Incredible talent. That's from the 254-723 as well. So we appreciate you and all the ones on the chat room that have responded today as well. But the thread about the release of our new broadcast center, which will be on the corner of Martin Luther King and Elm Street, right next to the location, are two hotels that are going up. One of them right now is going up a lot faster than the other one. Right across the street from the Brazos River, from the Martin Luther King Plaza, and also the Doris Miller Memorial. It is a spectacular area and how they have built around it and built it up and cleaned it up. And we'll be there and sooner than you think. But today, Colt sent us all a text. I didn't know when it was going to be. Hey, today at 2 o'clock, we're gonna announce the broadcast center. The response that we've heard from you has been amazing. Our sponsors are thrilled, and Every one of them that I have that's a sponsor of this show got a picture of it, got an image of it, got the story. Every one of them. In fact, right before the show started, we had a sponsor who I've been asking about being a part of the show said, we're in. That's what we continue to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're thrilled to welcome Don's Humidor. Welcome aboard, and thrilled to have these new studios that are being finalized right now. But Colt has put up the pictures of the mock-ups and what it's going to look like. And shout out to everybody, D1 Design and everybody that's had a hand in putting all that together. But it's going to be really cool. And I have not checked it all out like you guys have the last couple of weekends, but I'm looking forward to the first time walking in there and, plugging in and getting to work. So it's going to be really awesome. It's going to be, a nice place for us to have guests over, and just a stone's throw away from Baylor. So it'll be really convenient, especially if we can get to a point here, hopefully sooner rather than later, where, the normalcy of going to a media session and not having to do everything over Zoom, whenever that does occur again, that'll be a nice little short trip. Just be able to zip on over and go cover a press conference and zip on back. And, yeah, it's just going to be really cool. It's going to be awesome to have brick-and-mortar location. And, for anybody who was thinking this is going to be some flash in the pan, well, today's not a great day for you.
Nope. And it's going to be, when we have it on video, it's going to look great. It's going to be great for everybody involved. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. And the response that we've received, even from those who work at Baylor, coach at Baylor, has been fantastic as well. But most importantly, from you, the audience, and also, yes, you, the sponsor. We got to give Brian Etheridge and Ashley Hodge and Colt Barber all of the credit, because they're the ones that had the vision. And they're the ones that wanted to do this. And they have been working on this. They have spoken with other locations, and they found this one. And in the end, it might be just perfect. And we're going to make it. We'll try to make it perfect. Right there on the corner of MLK and Elm Street. If you haven't, go online, go to my Twitter feed, Paul Craig, whatever, as the stories out there that Colt put up, and then also on Sikkim365.com. Now, Roberto Clemente. My favorite baseball player growing up was a guy that hit a bunch of home runs. His name was Frank Howard. He played for the old Washington Senators. He was my favorite. I was a young kid. He hit 40, 44, 48, and 44 home runs in 3 consecutive years. He played on the Dodgers. I think may have even been on a championship with the Dodgers. I can't remember. But he was always my all-time favorite. But Roberto Clemente is the one that I've always said, the greatest player I ever saw was Willie Mays. But Roberto Clemente was somebody that has always had a fondness. I just loved the guy. And then, of course, he passed away on what was a trip to, was it Nicaragua? Or what? Can't remember where he was going.
But the world was robbed of Roberto Clemente. And again, he was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was on his way to. He was on his way to a devastating earthquake affected in Nicaragua when his plane took off from Puerto Rico and crashed on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, he had exactly 3,000 hits, right?
Yep, he had 3,000 hits, and that, thank God. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he could have ended up with maybe 3,900 or so.
But yeah, he was still, with 3,000 hits, he was still very much in the prime of his career. He wasn't one of those guys who got to 3,000 hits and it was the last couple years just trying to get there. He was still hitting well. He was still a very effective star player.
Had an unbelievable gun of an arm. His last year in 1972, he hit 312. His batting average, he very rarely ever hit under 300 in his career, except early on when he first got into baseball the first 5 or 6 years. He was phenomenal. He didn't play as many games that last year in 72. He played in 102.
He was dealing with a lot of injuries at that point.
Yeah, he started to break down a little bit. He had a gun of an arm, a right arm, that you did not run on him.
No.
He was flashy, like a Willie Mays in the outfield. And the reason I bring him up is the Pirates are going to honor him by recognizing his number 21 in an unprecedented manner. On September 9th, all Pirates players and coaches will wear 21 on their jerseys. They'll wear the number 21 on their jerseys. Clemente's death, no player has worn the 21 on the field that day. They decided to do that on September the 9th. And I guess it's Roberto Clemente Day.
That's cool. He's certainly deserving of the honor, and that ought to be a pretty special day for Pirates fans.
Yeah, I read a book about him like when I remember I was like 12 years. No, it was younger than that. I was like 9. It was one of those things. Craig, you remember the book fair?
Oh, yeah.
The
Love the book fair.
Yeah. I got a book about Roberto Clemente at the book fair, and I remember, reading it at night. And I just bought it because it was a baseball book. And I'd heard his name. I heard my dad talk about him. I hadn't realized at 9 years old that he had died.
Yeah.
I was just reading this story about Roberto Clemente, and then I remember I finished it in that one night, and I remember, at 9 years old, just sobbing my eyes out going, this guy died? This is terrible.
Yeah. I remember the night when it came down. Yeah. I remember my brother Robert, my oldest brother, he's a huge Pirates fan. Michael was a Giants fan. I was an idiot. I was a Senators fan. And Phil didn't care.
It's amazing the number of famous people that have passed away due to plane travel, but also, even if you wanted to start including just air travel in general. I mean, Kobe Bryant earlier this year with the helicopter accident, but yeah, that's a form of transportation that, it comes with risk, obviously, but there is a massive amount of, famous people. And, with Clemente, apparently the plane he was in had a history of problems. They crashed, pretty much right after takeoff, which is just, awful. And, a life cut short. And the thing about Roberto Clemente is we weren't robbed of him baseball-wise. I mean, he was approaching 40. His injuries were starting to become more commonplace, and so it wasn't like he was going to go hit another 3,000. I mean, he was getting towards the end, although he was still better than most. But it was his community work that was going to, and that still is part of his legacy and why he's revered the way that he is because of what he did in the communities. And so that's where I think we were robbed most of him, and also just his knowledge of baseball and how he would have passed that along throughout the rest of his life had he been able to. But, certainly just a charitable guy and a loving person trying to do the right things was taken away as well. So, yeah, just a huge tragedy.
He'll always be the favorite baseball player from Puerto Rico, and they've put out some great baseball players.
Yeah, I got a list right here on the plains. Aaliyah, JFK Jr., Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Otis Redding,
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Croce, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah, Carol Lombard. I mean, there's a list that goes on. And it's funny you mentioned Stevie Ray Vaughan because I've been listening to him a lot lately. I just love me some Stevie Ray Vaughan. But, man, you talk about a guy who had the world by the you-know-whats and all of it in front of him. Stevie Ray Vaughan did, man, and he definitely left too soon like a lot of others.
All right, this is an interesting tweet from Baylor Nick. At some point, I would love to hear the behind the scenes of when all hell broke loose. Well, that might be a book one day, and it'll be one hell of a book. And it might be when we just all unwind one day. But let's just keep focused on today, tomorrow, and what we're doing. Sikkim 365. Nick is one of our most ardent, loyal fans. We appreciate you, Nick. On Sikkim 365 Radio continues in a moment. Ideal MRI. In fact, I sent a picture of the press release to Rob Maxey. Dr. Maxey said, oh, my God, I love it. Ideal MRI right here smack in the middle of the Waco community, which I think is still kind of underwater after all of my goodness, the rain, the thunder, and the lightning that we had overnight. But Ideal MRI, premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable, and that's Ideal. They can help you with MRIs and keep the cost under $500. And cut the cost of what otherwise would be an MRI elsewhere that could be in the thousands. Every scan is performed on a state-of-the-art machine, read by a board-certified expert, doing it with a level of convenience and comfort uncommon to healthcare. Doing it with a fixed, transparent, and affordable price. Isn't that the way healthcare should be? Absolutely it should be. They don't like spending half a day in a waiting room, and neither do you. Putting you first is what it's about, offering early morning and evening and even weekend appointments with drop-in and same-day scheduling available, and most appointments are only about 45 minutes long. I went over there for an appointment. This was back in early April. In fact, it might have been late March when we decided we were going to have the talk show, and Ideal MRI decided they wanted to be our title sponsor, and they set me up for an MRI so I could go through the process, setting up the appointment, getting there and getting everything done quickly. And then all of a sudden, I met with the specialist and the techs. They told me what to expect. I'd been in some MRI machines before. This one was as smooth and convenient and basically low maintenance as anything I've ever been through when it comes to an MRI. On my shoulder. I got the results that evening from Dr. Maxey. I was able to share them with Dr. David Haynes at Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. It was that easy. It was unbelievable. It's convenient, and that's the way it should be. It's the Ideal MRI way. We put you first. IdealMRI.com.
The biggest, the baddest, and proven to be the best. Ram is back-to-back Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now, get the Ram you've been waiting for less from your friend in the car business, Alan Samuels. A new loaded-up 2020 Ram 1500 Longhorn 4x4. Now with a whopping $12,000 off, and first responders receive an additional $500. Big summer clearance event savings from the Ram leader, Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com.
All right, let's see how many of you are paying attention. The Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. It's a question for you. The new broadcast center will open up very soon. It will not be this week, and we have work to do, but you have no idea that used to be like rubble. That used to just be something there. And now you've got this beautiful apartment area. Next to it, there's a couple of big, nice hotels that are going up.
We went there.
We will have people in studio that we will interview. When we have somebody on, a Baylor coach or high school, we can have them in studio, not just on the phone. We can do both. Who would you want to see as the first in-studio guest based on Robert Griffin III is going to be playing football?
Yeah.
Matt Damon.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Tommy
Lee Jones.
Lawrence Elkins can make a call for us and get us Robert Duvall. Let's get him down here.
I don't want Meryl Streep anywhere near that broadcast center.
No, she's not a fit. But Robert Duvall would be a good one. But no, I just hope it's one of the like Scott Drew or Dave Aranda, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that'd be cool to have them there. By the way, so we went there. What was that? Early last week, Smokey.
So that's the text line right now as we have the last 25 minutes. 254-339-1122. Who would you like to see as our first in-studio guest when we open up the broadcast center on MLK&L?
Yeah, but we went there last week, and when I was going there, I was fully expecting to say, like, okay, well, we've got about – because, with construction, you can – like, there's no real math on construction.
Just
right?
look at 35.
It's just how, like, it's done when it's done. And so we walked in there, and – it was a lot further along than I'd even through the pictures that I'd seen. And then they're like, okay, well, yeah, I think we can have it done by, this date. And I was like, what? Wow. Okay. This is even further along than I expected.
Yeah, this happened quickly compared to the last time because we've seen the process. And of course, throughout the shutdowns or whatever you could do and the delays because of COVID. But I remember when they took us over to this building, it was just, again, you could see it's going to be like an apartment area. And it's really, there's going to be apartments, and these are really nice. This is not, these are some nice places. And then all of a sudden I went over there one day, and it was like you could have the people with their like tailgate chairs on the back porch. And there's a bar, a little like bar area in the very top that's got an open area that can fit probably, I don't know, I'm not going to say a couple hundred people, maybe even 350, maybe 50. But you can look around Waco and you can see McLean Stadium and all the surroundings of the Brazos River as well. It's very cool. And I got a feeling that Brian Etheridge, Ashley Hodge, and Colt will want to have a few get-togethers up there. Not to mention there's a Pop-A-Shot. I think we might have ping pong table, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be cool stuff in there. We're gonna make great use of the space.
I have not gone over there yet. I just have had other things whenever you guys have typically done that. But I'm excited for the first time and going over there and like I said, just plugging in and getting this whole thing going on. But yeah, Paul, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, you might want to start retraining Woodrow a little bit because those bathroom breaks he gets now are going to be off
he's so
the
spoiled.
table.
Yeah,
so he's going to have to.
He's pretty good about. I mean, it's only going to be a few hours. So
yeah,
I mean, he held out.
He's gotten spoiled over the last few weeks. We'll say that.
He held out for about 6 hours the other day, although right now he's doing a little dance. So when we go to this next break.
Yeah, he's starting to huff and puff.
Yeah.
By the way, Jason King threw down the pop quiz. I think we touched on this a little bit, but here's the pop quiz.
We didn't talk about this at all, actually.
No. Baylor's leader in touchdowns scored this season will be?
I said Treston Ebner, and I made sure to say in my answer, look, I have been ringing the Treston Ebner bell since he signed. I will admittedly say that some of it's being a little bit of an East Texas homer because he and I both come from the same backyard of Texas. And so I immediately, for East Texas guys, whether it's Treston or Jermichael Hasty or KD Cannon or the countless others, I take an extra attention to those guys because they're from where I'm from. And so Ebner, I had that sort of interest in him to begin with, and then I saw him just play, and I'm like, okay, I love his style, I love his athleticism, and I love his ability. And then last year, obviously, it was very disappointing because he could basically not be available at all. But I went with him, and it's all based off not being a fan per se. This is all squarely based off just what we've heard the coaches talk about and how often he gets brought up and how often they talk about the various ways they're going to use him. And, we don't hear too much about the other running backs, quite frankly. And some of that's our job of the media to learn more. So next time we talk to Aranda, I do plan on asking about the rest of the backs, but I went Treston Ebner. It made sense to me.
Well, so did I, and mine was even more simple than that. I just think that the way we've heard about him and the way that Larry Fedora will use him in a lot of different ways, it's just he's going to get a lot of touchdowns. I mean, he might get one a game. I mean, I just think that's.
I said Charlie Brewer.
Well, and he had the second most last year.
Denzel had 12. Brewer had 11. There's always of course, you got to be careful protecting him.
I don't think he's going to be running it as much.
No,
and
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It sounds like that a lot of those, some of those was he's running for his life, but a lot of them were the 1-yard quarterback keepers.
Where he'd still take a massive
pop. All right, the college football rule that I'd like to see changed. Mine was they've already changed it, the targeting rule. They've changed it 3 or 4 or 5 different times. Mine is not so much a specific rule. It's why are defensive penalties automatic first downs?
That's a good one, yeah.
But offensive penalties, except intentional grounding, you don't lose a down.
No,
it doesn't make any sense.
I like that one. Smokey, I'm sure you weren't surprised at mine. Like, please stop stopping the clock after first downs. And any like,
well, that used to be worse.
Inside the last 2 minutes.
You know what used to be worse? If they went out of bounds, it went out of bounds, so you snap it again.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an Art Briles Baylor game?
Oh, my God.
Where they had the old rule that if you got a first down, you stop the clock and went out of bounds?
Oh, it would have been 17 hours game.
It'd take 5 or 6 hours to play a game?
No, I mean, their games already were like 4.5, even with that, because they just were throwing the ball so much. But that was one thing I did not like about that style of football. I mean, those games were fun. Those teams were fun. I have no complaints about any of that. But if there was one downside or one complaint to be made, it was the games lasted far, far too long, especially for the competition level. I mean, a game where you're winning by 40 doesn't need to last nearly 4 hours. I mean, you're winning by 40. Like, knee the ball on your last 5 series, and let's get this bad boy over with.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall here. So that used to drive me nuts. Even with, teams who run the ball a lot now or play good defense. I mean, even last year, Baylor games were lasting 4 hours. It's the TV broadcasts, and I didn't put that down, but they talk all the time about hastening the game up or moving it up, and I feel like it just still gets longer every single year. It's too long. They need to trim the fat a little bit.
All right, so that's that. My favorite thing about attending a high school football game is, I said the innocence is still in its existence. There's nothing like Texas high school football. Other states play a great game, but there's the atmosphere that seems like it's better here than anywhere else. The overall atmosphere changes because of COVID, but even Friday, although it was surreal, you could still get a taste of it.
Yeah, my favorite part would be when a kid who's not playing football once that last game in his high school makes that play, that big play, that changes a game, recovers a fumble or whatever, that has that moment he's going to remember for the rest of his life. Now, not to say that I don't enjoy watching the elite guys play, but, those guys are going to get another chance to do that. It's the guys who, had that one shot and capitalized on it.
I'm really surprised you answered that. I figured you'd go with the halftime shows, but
I took a dig.
Yes, I just went with the community feel that you get. I think I said something along the lines of, when a college comes at you with a scholarship offer, I mean, they're recruiting you, and eventually, if you're fortunate enough, and even if it's not a scholarship thing and you're just choosing your college anyways, you choose where you want to go to college. And then in the NFL, they choose you, and you don't have any say in it whatsoever unless you're like Eli Manning or John Elway. But in high school, it's pretty much where you grew up. And more often than not, there are people who move in at like age 12 or 13 or their junior year or whatever. But for the most part, it's people who grew up in that community, and it's their brother or sister went to school there, and their parents went to school there, and they know all the traditions, and everybody's got their own little like unique flair or logo or school song or whatever. It's that hometown feel and that representing where you came from and how the whole town kind of is lifted when a team from there is doing really well and having some success. So I like that community aspect.
All right, here's another one. Sideline reporter who does a great job. I said Erin Andrews, she to me remains at the head of the class. She was one of not the originals, because the originals were back in the 70s, but she still does her homework, you can tell. She still understands the relationship, although at times she might cross it a little bit with player interviews, either at halftime, before a game, or after a game. She's still very professional. She's still a part of the number one broadcast at Fox with Aikman and Joe Buck. I know that Holly Rowe is someone who's incredibly popular. She seems to just fit with the person's, the people.
Yeah, she's the one I picked. She's the one I picked. And,
they love her.
And part of the reason I picked that is she is very comfortable and she knows exactly how to deal with coaches when they know they've got to do an interview they don't want to do, and she asks questions that you don't see Holly Rowe getting that, asking that nervous, dumb question to a coach. Like, she'll ask the question, and the coach usually answers her. They have so much respect for her and the way she handles her business.
I'm glad we all read the fine print so that I didn't get voted for. I know that would have been like really homerish if we would have done that. No, I went with who did I? Christy Scales. I went with Christy Scales from the Cowboys broadcast.
Yes, absolutely.
I think she's just really excellent at what she does, and I put in there that if you're listening to the Cowboys on the radio and Christy Scales starts talking, you stop what you're doing because you know that whatever she's saying, whether it's an injury update or something she overheard on the sideline or whatever.
It's relevant.
It's relevant to the game and the broadcast. And so she does a really good job with that. She's got a great voice. I just think she does a good job. And as far as an ex-sideline reporter who I was a big fan of, Kaylee Hartung, who's now at CNN. She used to do a lot of the SEC, a lot of college football games. I liked her a lot. So she's not counting anymore because she's all in the news realm now, but Christy Scales was my pick.
Yeah, Christy, that should have been one that I should have thought about her. I was thinking more television, and I shouldn't have been. All right, this is one that I worked on this. I debated between two things. A popular concession stand snack that doesn't appeal to me. I initially was going to say that it's like they're like waffles. It's
funnel cake.
Funnel cake. I've just never
really?
liked them.
Okay.
I know that's one of the most popular concession stand popcorn, hot dogs.
There's kind of a lot of effort with funnel cake, and there's
There
powdered
is.
sugar.
It's not. I don't think it's. I mean, it's popular, but it's not like a go-to for most people because you get a lot of it normally. Like probably way too much for what you need. It's messy. It's just kind of. It's not real. Yeah, not real great game
Messy
food.
is kind of sticky, you know.
Yeah.
And well,
All
so
that
is
powdered
this one
sugar.
here. This one here, there's nothing to it.
It's garbage.
Cotton candy.
It's garbage.
It's air.
It's nothing. It's garbage.
You touch it, it dissolves. It just disappears.
Yeah. 6-year-olds eat that.
It didn't even cross my mind. Didn't even cross
It's
my
one of
mind.
I went on. This is what I did. I actually went on Google, and I started looking for the top concession stand foods. Funnel cake and cotton candy were like not always the popular, but pretty much at the top.
The other one I was going to vote for, and occasionally you get some great ones. The only good thing about the Oakland Coliseum is they have unbelievable chicken nachos there. But so sometimes you get good nachos, but I don't normally like the nachos with the cheese that you do. Like the cheese doesn't stay warm long enough.
Soft chips.
Yeah, like you just can't. Like there's no. It's not satisfying. Like one chip and you're done. Like one nacho, you're done. It's hot and it's crisp, and that's it. And after that, the chips are soggy and the cheese is cold. And
I went with concession stand popcorn, which might be like, whoa, wait a second, but I like popcorn, and I can have a much better version at home that's nice and crunchy and warm with as much butter as I want or seasoning or whatever. So the kind of the stale old popcorn you get in the paper sleeve or the cardboard box just doesn't really do it for me anymore.
Yeah, you know, I don't drink it. I don't eat as much popcorn, but on occasion, I will. That's what I go. But I want a little butter on it.
I'll tell you, when I got off of concession stand popcorn was when I saw. And I won't say what stadium we were at, but we were at a stadium early doing a game, and doing the show before a game, and they just brought it in like big plastic bags. It was already done hours before.
Yeah, that's stale.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what they do at concession stands or places that you're right. By the way, I mentioned this earlier. I got an email, and I did not know who this was, but he was so nice. Tyler Greenfield, Tyler Greenfield sent me an email. I hope he doesn't mind me saying it. When he sent me this earlier this afternoon, about an hour after the release of our new broadcast center. Congratulations. I enjoy listening. For DTG, and I said thank you. I live in Northeast Tennessee. I'm a Baylor graduate. I listen via the internet through Sikkim 365 Link. I usually make a couple of home football games each year, but not sure what will happen this year. Keep up the good work, DTG. And I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Thank you so much again for the feedback. And that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so we know that we got a lot of people like Matt in D.C. up in that area listening. We know now we're in Tennessee.
Yep.
And so definitely love that. And who knows wherever else. I mean, all over the place. That's the thing about this is that you don't have to be living in Waco to hear us or even living in Central Texas to hear us. You can listen worldwide, so that's pretty awesome.
TJ, does this new spot, they're going to have, like a TV show, or am I reading it the wrong way? I just started listening today. Unfortunately, TJ, it's what we're going to have is this show, and we'll be on camera, too. Mm-hmm. Just like you see on some other places now that do talk shows, but we'll have, like ESPN, Mike and Mike in the Morning, they also had cameras, which is no longer in existence. The cameras are. But that's what it's going to be. Plus, we'll be able to also add to the mix with in-studio, sit down, having a chance to discuss things with coaches or players or whoever at length and be able to rerun those as well.
Yeah, it's the radio show, but with video and a brand new studio that will be on that video. I mean, that's basically what it is. So a new home, so to speak, and a new feature with the video side of things.
I just realized, and I've had two people bring this up, and I hated this when I was in television because I was.
Makeup?
I have a large noggin of a forehead. And it's like sometimes if the sun shines off my forehead, Russia might think we're launching something.
So are we?
We're going to have to figure this out because I hate that stuff.
Am I going to have to go to the Clinique counter and get them to find out what my shade is?
I'm going to wear a Lucha Libre mask. That just solves that problem. I'm going to pull an Excalibur from AEW. He rocks the Lucha mask while he does play-by-play, so I might have to do that and just save the makeup.
I have this, and I might even still have one, and I don't think it's just a little bit of that powder.
There's no way that's still good if you still have it. Can't imagine.
Dab it around, it's the glare. It's the glare. You're not going to make us look any better than
We're not doing this because of our looks, guys. I mean, I'll tell you that right now.
And it's going to be, but it's like 2 or 3 different angles of the camera.
I'm just saying we're not doing this because of our looks.
No, this is not like Mike Greenberg.
No,
this is not.
No, I was going to say, it's not like Linda Carter in the 70s when she was a model. They said, we got to get this girl to play Wonder Woman.
No.
Like, we got to get her on television. More people are going to see her. No. This is not that.
Yeah, so I think a little shine, people would just be like, whatever,
Yeah.
And who
I just
cares?
I don't want to look washed out.
Right.
By the way, Sam Bradshaw, who will join us tomorrow, the first segment with us tomorrow. Last week he looked at the defense, and earlier this week he looked at the defense and what they want to play, the jack and the star positions. Today he posted, how does Baylor's roster athletically fit into what Aranda does defensively? We break down the upside in part 2 of our preview. How does the speed match up? Which spots might be the defense be undersized? And there's a picture of TJ Woods on there. That was out earlier today. JT Woods. It's at Baylor_S11. Sam Bradshaw breaks it down, and he is good at it. Really, really good at it. He's going to join us on Thursdays, like around 5 or so. He'll be with us tomorrow. And I printed out the article so I could read part of it. And he'll join us as a part of the show tomorrow. All right?
Yeah, it's going to be our X's and O's perspective.
God, we need one, too. He's really good at that. All right. UIL changes state championship dates for team tennis and volleyball. Volleyball final will be played at Garland's Curtis Colwell Center. I think last year they did something like that because Crawford was a part of that. I remember Delbert Kelm, former head coach. People got on him about the fact that they didn't think he supported volleyball enough, and yet they pushed back a football start time in a game up in Dallas, like at Pennington Field, later, so that everyone could go to the Crawford State Championship match, which they eventually did win. So
wanted to mention as well, the Earl Campbell watch list came out today.
Yes.
And Charlie Brewer, the Baylor representative on there, and they included, because a lot of the schools, even if they're not playing this semester, they included their nominees still. So you'll see like the full ranking, just like